Hey, welcome back to the Dynasty Grind. My name's Peter Howard at PA Howdy on Twitter. This is a live stream, and we're all over the age of 30, so we don't exactly know what that means. But we're here every Wednesday at 9:30, and questions turn up in the little comment box on whatever streaming platform you're watching it, and we just talk about those questions in order democratically, not for any particular reason, just because we don't know how to think of anything better. So yeah, drop any questions, comments, or thoughts you have about Dynasty in those little boxes, and we'll be happy to chat with you about Dynasty for about 3 hours usually. But you know, maybe we'll get off light one day. Who knows? Yeah, welcome back. It's still rookie season. It's going to be rookie season for a while. Remember, I warned you about that when you were all asking about ranks like a month ago. And now we did a ranks show, and it's still rookie season. And like, what more is there to say? Well, there is one thing. Zach Reed is back this week, so he can tell us what he thinks about rookies and ranks. So, no, let's do that, I guess. Hey, fellas, how's it going?
Gentlemen. Peter, I gotta tell you,
how was your futuristic trip to somewhere?
Oh, it was awful. It was awful.
Oh,
it was
terrible.
Awful.
Good.
Don't even like it was
terrible.
It was awful. Like it was awful.
Never leave the house. That's what I say.
Yep. Come back. It was terrible.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I took this week off to recover from my vacation, because my vacation was
he legitimately did need a vacation from his vacation.
Yeah, it was terrible. I had kids sick on both ends of the vacation. We missed the first 3 days that we were going to be there, and then missed the last day and a half that we were supposed to be. Like it was not good. But I'm back. I'm here. I'm happy to be here. I laughed incredibly too hard when Russ told you to jump in and because we're 2 minutes late, and just like I'm so happy to be back here, be back with you guys and the guys in the chat, guys and girls, the audience. I'm super pumped to be here.
Oh, we're 2 minutes late. That just means we're on time. It's Dynasty Grind time.
Are we the new
a couple minutes late?
Ish.
Well, someone's got to fill the void. That's what I think. So we need like 7 other people in here, and we need someone like J Mike and someone like Gabe. We should just ask them to do it. Maybe they should just do that. Maybe they should just keep doing that.
Yeah, like there are no people like J Mike and Gabe. That's the problem. It's either J Mike and Gabe or not.
Anyway, sorry, I'm letting people know. I do want to talk about this before we move on, because we were going to talk about it last week, then Zach wasn't here. Someone listened to him on my podcast and wanted to ask about his team or thoughts on his team. And since that's mostly the question we get on the Dynasty Grind every week, I thought maybe we'd just bring it here, especially since he specifically asked what Zach thought. And I was like, he's got DMs too. He couldn't find you on Twitter initially, and then I sent
it's because he had it is Zach Green, which is close.
Right. It's a 1 QB PPR league. He's got to cut down to 18 players. His roster is currently at 23. I misread this and thought you traded Godwin away after the screenshot, so my thoughts were a little different till about 5 seconds ago when they had me reread it. I like this team. You've got Olave, Godwin, and Burks, 3 solid wide receiver starters. You got Russell Wilson is actually probably a discount QB at this point, especially in a 1 QB league with some upside. Like the biggest weakness, if you've got a weakness, is Ingram as your tight end 1. And that's not terrible, to be honest with you, especially in a dynasty league. But your running backs, even though they're great if you were starting a roster next week, Walker and Pollard are terrible because it's the off season and they're overvalued right now. And so that was like second thought. It's like maybe those guys, you could explore the trade market for them, specifically trying to improve either your quarterback or your tight end, because your wide receivers are solid. You can always try and tear up wide receivers, but I don't think that's where you need to improve. As for cutting the roster down, like pretty much anyone I didn't mention is cuttable. I don't see anyone I'm clinging on to, like the second-year tight ends and stuff like that. I try to prioritize if I'm ever worried. Van Jefferson can be a starter in a pinch, so you don't necessarily have to drop him. Same with Bourne. But outside of that, and Mac Jones as your quarterback 2, right? There's easily 5 players outside of the ones I just named, and I wouldn't hesitate to drop most of them. I drop depth wide receivers first, then tight ends and running back. It's kind of how I feel about the player. But I don't see anyone, apart from maybe Otten here, that I feel particularly strongly about.
Cut all
That-
those.
There is Spiller.
junk-
Spiller's good depth. Spiller's
the
good
junk
depth.
quarterbacks, the Skylar
Ooh.
Thompson and Desmond Ritter.
Oh,
you
easy, yeah.
You're not going to start those guys in one quarter.
In a 1 QB, there's literally, no point.
So he actually did get a hold of me in the DM.
Mhm.
And so my response was to start off, like, at this point of the year, you should be evaluating your team. You should be asking yourself questions. And this is the tricky part, answering them honestly, because it's real easy to ask yourself questions and then rationalize yourself into bad answers. But you need to be really honest with yourself. You know, where did you finish last season? How are you in the standings? Did you make the playoffs? If you look at total points and all play record, what does that tell you? What can you reasonably expect next season if you don't do anything? What are your team's strengths? What are your team's weaknesses, etc.? And I think, Peter, you kind of gave him a jump start on that and started looking at like you did, because you start looking at the what players you like. So those receivers, what players you think, you know, have potential. Like, to me right now, if I'm looking at that team, I think exactly what you said. Pollard and Walker are the 2 real big candidates to me to move, because I think right now Walker is running back 2 or 3 in Dynasty right now. Go look at what he scored points per game, and he is not even close to the top 10, and he's going to struggle with getting there because he is not going to have the receptions to bring him up into that upper echelon of scoring running backs in a PPR league. As much as people like him and as great as he was this year, like, he's just
the easy way I say it, he's going to be as good as he was last year for a number of years. Like, I got no problem with Walkie. Again, I like having him on your roster. He's just, that's what he is.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that you need to look at things like that. And the same thing with Pollard. Like, Pollard was great. He's probably not going to be on the Cowboys next year. So he's going to end up somewhere. You might as well ship him now after he had a great season. He finished as the running back 8. But you've got a little bit of juice with him. You can get back somebody that, you know, maybe you don't have any business getting back in return for Pollard. So that's like, I think that to me is where I would start with this team. Is I'm starting by building up either my wide receiving core or by plussing up those running backs. He also asked, he had the 104, and I said in a 1 quarterback league, you're probably looking at Jackson Smith and Jigba or Jordan Addison at that point. And I'm going to be happy with either of them and sliding them right into that receiving core. And then he had 2 or 3 second round picks. And at that point, you're starting to look at running backs because you're going to have running backs in this class that fill in and do some damage, whether it's Zach Charbonnet, whether it's Kendre Miller, whether it's Tank Bigsby, whether it's Sean Tucker. Like, there are some really good running backs who may not be drafted like they're going to come in and be the starter, but they're going to have potential to score fantasy points at some point in this season, and having them on your roster will be beneficial. Just for context, Kenneth Walker was 0.2 points per game ahead of Jamal Williams, who you could have had in like the 18th round last year.
I was thinking about, I'm always thinking about Dynasty, but breaking it down to simplicity again, because it's a season to start writing how to Dynasty articles, I guess. So that's where my head goes. And the draft is a thing that's different. I mean, on its basic level, you draft a team and then you don't get another one. And we try to think of rookie drafts as Dynasty, the replacement draft. And that's also leading us into some weird avenues when we think about rookie drafts. Like it's not it ain't him. And so the draft is what you have to replace. And just when you think it through from a start draft to a second year and a third year, what you're constantly trying to do is change your roster, maintain your roster without a draft coming, which is why we talk about value and why sleepers suck, because we're so used to thinking about fantasy football in terms of being smarter than our friends. I'm going to out-evaluate them. I'm going to out-draft them. I know Traylon Burks is good and they don't. It's nonsense. It becomes so much less about the players. And so in the offseason, you're not saying who's actually going to be the wide receiver one when everyone else thinks it's someone else. That stops being a question in Dynasty. It's how can I keep churning through wide receivers I'm pretty happy to have as my wide receiver one. And so it's less about, even though player evaluation has involved it in a lot, what you're constantly trying to do is replace the draft, not find the right players. And so when I break down a roster or look at any roster like this, that's where my mind goes. It's not that I don't like Walker, or I don't think Burks is good. It's about the value. It's that simple. Like I'm going to need more players in a year, in 2 years. How do I keep that process going? And so anyway, that was a thought I had, and I thought it was a pretty good one. And I don't have many. You're trying to replace the draft. And so trying to bet on whether Tony Pollard is actually Zeke 2.0, like it's not a dynasty question. It can happen, and it doesn't matter if you get the right value out of it. And that's where my head went when thinking about this one. So I thought I'd share it, but there's other silence. So I'm going to shut up. I thought it was pretty good. We're trying to replace the draft, not anything else. And as for his draft picks, one QB, the 104 is outside of a tier. It's kind of at the end of one. You've got the 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and you're right there at the bottom. You're going to get whichever one falls, which is good. It's fine. And speaking of how we think about the rookie draft is different, like that's it. That's as far as you need to go. You're inside a tier. Trading up is probably too much. And you've got a plethora of other picks, but I do think this year you're going to find there are going to be some values in the second round this year. So I don't feel a lot of pressure to do anything. Unless, again, the constant always trade for Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson asterisk. If in your league it costs you the 203 to go from the 104 to the 101, do that. It shouldn't. It should cost a lot more. But yeah. Anyway, thanks for doing that, Zach. I felt pretty cool. Someone listened to our podcast together. So thought we'd talk about them. But anyway, how's the chat doing? Puff, puff, pass. Puff, pass, kick. Something. These rookie rankings better be better than last week's rookie rankings.
Says puff, puff, pass.
Yeah.
Like right away. I do it every single time too.
I like because it's a punt, pass, kick, but play. Yeah, no, I like it. I'm there. I'm hip. I'm with it.
This week's rankings better be better than last week's rankings. Otherwise, I'm going to start watching double VHS movies on Wednesdays during your show times. I mean, sounds like a positive EV move, to be honest with you. Yeah, the rankings last week were mine, so I guess thanks. Thanks.
Godfather, Titanic, Green Mile. Those are 3 movies I could think of that took up 2 VHS tapes.
Gettysburg. I loved Gettysburg as a kid. That was a great. I don't know why I did. Maybe it's because I'm from Maine.
Movies, 4 weeks. You are good for a month without us.
You could get those special edition VHS tapes at the end where they came with a double and one with special features and stuff before we had DVD special feature menus.
That's not what you need, Peter.
I got the Star Wars box set somewhere.
But speaking of rookie ranks, what do you think of Zay Flowers, by the way, Zach?
He
one of the guys I was looking at recently.
He's in that tier kind of below Keyshawn Boutte. So it's like Rashee Rice, Marvin Mims, and Zay Flowers. I think a lot. So PFF has him graded out as their wide receiver 2 in fantasy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But what do you think about him going to the Ravens?
I feel like he is.
I think he's the wide
Jamison
receiver 7.
Crowder.
Yeah.
I think he's Jamison Crowder, and I think people are getting really excited about Jamison Crowder.
The way he stands out is touchdowns. Travis dropped that on the first part of our conversation together. He's got a lot of touchdowns, apparently.
Yeah.
Haven't really got there yet.
Look, I like Jamison Crowder. I think he was a good player, but he's not somebody that I'm super excited about drafting in the first round of a rookie draft.
I saw someone more than one person tweeting out that the Ravens were like creepily following him around at the
Oh.
It's such a Ravens draft pick, actually. Randy, what's going on, fellas? Thanks for the content. No problem. We haven't even made any yet, so appreciate that. We're working on it.
But you did for one person.
That's true. Well, always one person at a time, to be fair. Like every question is just talking about one person. Seemed fair. Randy Wyatt, 14-team PPR Superflex start 8. Have Hurts, Herbert, Chase, London. Burks is my core. Will it be Bijan this year? Yeah. Would you explore trading Bijan for Justin Jefferson or Lamar?
Well, not.
Got
you
3
have
more.
Hurts and Herbert. Don't.
I would for Jefferson.
Jefferson's interesting.
In a 14-team league, does stud running back... I get that Jefferson and Chase are still worth more than Bijan, but in a start 8 14 team, does that stud running back mean more to your team?
I mean, depends on what your start
I think
is,
when you
right?
we've got
So
Chase, London, and Burks, you can trade Bijan Robinson for Justin Jefferson later. To be honest with you, there's no like if that's the value right now, and it should be. Imagine after we see Saquon Barkley year, you know.
So we're going 2 quarterbacks, a tight end, and then 2 running backs and 3 wide receivers. Is that what we're thinking?
Like.
One of those quarterbacks might slip. And in fact, with the Levis and Richardson hype, it might even get a little crazier.
Well, no, I'm talking about the starting,
he's talking about starting
requirements.
Oh, sorry, Karen.
We've got 3 more of the top 8 picks. Yeah, I would trade the 101 for Justin Jefferson. I would.
I don't care. I mean, that's a good trade.
But
like not Lamar.
That's what I'm going to be trying to do in 2 years anyway with Bijan.
Yeah, but
so
2 years off Bijan, isn't that the method?
Yeah.
And then you can trade for the next Justin Jefferson. Not that there is one. I don't know. I think it's fair. I think it's good. I think I prefer to have JJ. If I had JJ, I probably wouldn't send this trade.
Right.
But I don't think your team gets worse next year. I think it gets a little better next year with a stud running back 1 and 3 great wide receivers versus just having 4 good. In a 14 team, I think that's the difference. But honestly, yeah, JJ's a better way to go in Dynasty.
I'm a lot happier with London as my wide receiver 3. I'll just say that.
Regardless of what it takes, you're almost never sad to have Chase and Jefferson on the same team.
Nope.
Yeah, get Jefferson. Consensus. Sorry, just gonna die for a second. Be right back.
How high of a 23 can I get for Henry, Zach Linton, FF? All right, I almost say Uncle Phil every time I go to read this. By the way, it's FF Uncle Piff. Can you get a 23 first for Derrick Henry?
Not in my leagues, and I know that's a terrible way of saying it, but I don't think trade calculators and ADP are going to suggest you should. I think in a league, you probably could get the 108, maybe, depending on how they feel. Yeah, I mean, otherwise you keep it.
I think by the time anyone is willing to really pay for a 29-year-old running back, it's going to be after the 23 draft.
Yeah, so Henry, the target for me is going to be and I know this is way out and whatever, but it's going to be the 25 class for me with Henry. It's once he starts scoring points, if your team is not scoring, Zach, and there are teams in your league that are making pushes for the playoffs, that's when you make that move.
Or a wide receiver. Yeah, that's the type of running back. Speaking to your cycle,
yeah, but I think you're beyond getting a wide receiver that I want with Henry. Like, I really think that the shark has been jumped with Henry. Like, a 29-year-old running back who has, the perceived, not much tread left on the tires, has been high carry, has been not a pass although this past year he caught passes. Did you guys see that? Like a little bit. It was
he did last year before he got hurt too.
Yeah. But
just enough to keep you hoping, yeah.
Yeah, but that's the type of thing that if you wanted to trade Henry to get one of those wide receivers, you would have had to have done it 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
I know you can. Well, yeah, to get someone
that I
you can
want.
get Marcus Brown. You could get Brandon Ayuk.
But I don't want them. They're not the type of wide receivers that I'm building my team with. They're the type of wide receivers that I'm supplementing my team with.
Yeah.
Okay, so crazy enough, whatever English is, the DLF Trade Analyzer has Derrick Henry worth a 107 in a 12-team Superflex league.
Oh, if I could do that, absolutely. Let's do it.
That's pretty good on the 108.
I know someone who got Derrick Henry for the 204 last week.
Yeah. I think if you can't get that value, you just keep Henry at this point. But yeah.
Yeah, you want to hold on to him, especially until points
start. Yeah. Devin Stately, 12-team Superflex PPR, starts 11. Give Tua and Waddle, got Carr, Olave, and a 24 first. Tua, Waddle, Carr, Olave. That's a downgraded quarterback, an upgrade, kind of a side trade.
You pretty much swapped Waddle and Olave and sold Tua for Carr and a 24 first.
Yeah. I mean, I prefer Waddle, but...
Like, to me, at this point, value-wise, Waddle and Olave are probably same tier. I mean, I do believe Waddle is worth more. I have Waddle ahead of Olave, but same position, same tier. In which case, this to me is Tua for Carr and a 24 first. And
that. I was going to say it's not enough, especially value-wise, player-wise maybe, but value-wise to like. I'm concerned about Tua. I don't suddenly think he's bad. And didn't Carr lose his job?
Well, Carr will lose his job on the Raiders, but
he's a Pro Bowler, Peter.
He'll get another job, yeah, but he's
No, by the way, Tua
vagrant QB
cleared the protocol.
I saw that 35 days. But Derek Carr, Pro Bowler, Derek Carr next to Tyler Huntley, he's a Pro Bowler. Peter.
This is Pro Bowl, baby.
Just
see, Waddle for Olave in a first isn't too bad, but Tua and Carr are just too different. Like,
yes,
you soaked up the value in that part of it.
First on Olave to get to Waddle. That I think.
Yeah,
that's we're saying the same thing, but different.
Yeah,
same, but different.
Same, but different.
But
I'm less concerned with if we disagree more. Like if Devin knows what I'm saying. Like I get tearing down from Waddle. I've thought about doing it a few times, but the reason I continue to like Waddle a lot, even value wise, is because he's there. But no one's actively trading for him except for me, Zach, maybe Outhouse there who just said it, and anyone listening to us. Everyone else is like, meh. You don't like Waddle. He's not the wide receiver one on his team. Tyreek Hill's so fast, and they're done. And they should eat my dust as I beat them in fantasy football because Waddle's great. It's like AJ Brown is there in value. There's relatively little separation between AJ Brown and the Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase tier, but no one wants them because they're done. And that's like I get tearing down from Waddle. I thought about it a time or two, but I don't think the value's out here. And this trade kind of says it. Like you did. Don't get me wrong. You didn't damage your roster, but I don't think you got the value. And that's you're fine. Olave is going to be pretty good, and hopefully you're hitting 24. I continue to not know what this means, but thank you very much, Corey. I should look that up. YouTube member. Hurricane Lane, 12-team Superflex start 9. Do you want to just run through your ranks at all, by the way? Because I did mine at the end because I could not find a good way of just saying ranks, but Outhouse doesn't do them.
I'm sure
so it just becomes like a spiel.
I'm sure somebody will bring up where do you think this guy is? And I
felt in charge for a second. I didn't like it, so I thought I'd throw it back to you. Like,
I don't have yet solidified ranks, I'll be able to kind of give you an idea of what I think of players and where I have them in tiers and that sort of thing. It'll still be another probably 2 weeks before I put my actual top 12 and I do that. I'll pin that as a tweet, and if you go at Tacit Assassin 13 on Twitter, you can go see my pin tweet, which is last year's, and if you follow that, you can actually see the last 4 or 5 years if you want to. I've got
positional ranks, but they change as I learn more.
And those
I change the date as I update them just so people know what's going on. But
I just put out one pre-draft, this is where I saw people, and then I do a post-draft okay, this is how the draft affected things, and this is how I would draft the players at this point. And the cool thing about the pre-draft rankings is it's not necessarily where you have to draft them. And so that's the interesting thing is you can take my pre-draft rankings and look at ADP and go, oh, this could be a steal, which
tell you what, I was disappointed. The one thing I've seen that really like perked my interest in terms of I'm not sure everyone's going to like that as much was Downs. Yeah, Josh Downs. And then I went and checked like DLF Devi mock ADP, like they do rankings, and I'm using it as ADP. And he was like wide receiver 3.
Yeah, you're not sneaking Josh Downs by anybody. Although I'm a little lower on him than that, but you're not sneaking him by anybody.
But that's a name people know for sure.
Yeah,
that sucks. Hurricane Lane, 12-team superflex, start 9, 4-point passing touchdowns. Kevin Ridley, the 23-111, Zach Wilson, those are last, or Dak Prescott.
That's Dak. I mean, I want to say yes just because Calvin Ridley was on side, but that's very easily Dak.
You're getting a quarterback without giving a quarterback, and I always think that's a good idea.
Burn.
Hey, Mr. Wilson.
He can, he can soothe that burn with all the money and MILF tail he's racked up over the years. I don't think it'll hurt him. Stefan Peterson, who are some of the players you each roster the most and why? That's a good question.
I can answer one real quickly.
Sorry, go ahead.
So I got 5 dynasty teams. I have 80% rostership of one player, and that is Justin Jefferson. Because I got him in rookie drafts because I was higher on him than most everybody else. So that's my Steven. Or Stefan.
All right. I'm going to introduce you all to, just in case we haven't talked about this. Unsponsored, obviously, because no one gives us money. But there's a website called Dynasty Planet. Just type Dynasty Planet, you'll find it. I'm pretty sure I know the guy who built it. He's one of these Dynasty nerds like me, but he has skills. So instead of a spreadsheet, he built a website with tools. And you can sign in to your MFL account and ask it to look up your rosters, and it tells you exactly how many players or sleeper account you're rostering. Right now, the only 80% players I have are Keontae Ingram and Kendrick Bourne. There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's only looking over 4 leagues. I cut a few. David Bell, I'm rostering at 60%. Jalen Tolbert at 60%. I used to like taking wide receiver shots. Patrick Fairmouth is probably notable one at 60%.
So I learned the hard way
Waddle.
that when I help John Bosch set up the Fantasy Cares Eliminators, that I have to create a separate login because right now, whenever I want to use Dynasty Planet, I have to uncheck about 170 leagues, and that is not an exaggeration because I have commissioner access in all of the eliminators. So they all show up in my MFL.
That'd be a little bit too much to unclick all of those. That's fair. But yeah, the thing is, it's free. It's really well coded, easy to use, and I kind of love that they're just nerds out there making stuff.
I have another. I just Dynasty Planeted, and I have another 80%. This is new. It's Isaiah Hodgins, who I picked up about a third of the way through last year, and just. That's the thing I learned. It's always players that I probably shouldn't be rostering, but they were some of my deeper shots at value and all that stuff. And when you actually look at your rosters, you're mostly rostering junk. I actually made an active effort to make sure the top of my rostership were like premium players for a while, but it cost so much. Like I devolved my teams just to make it happen. You can tell the leagues that I play in with Russ because I've got 60% Kelsey, and then some Mark Andrews. So. Those are the Russ tight end premium.
Wait, stall for like 2 more seconds because I just finally unclicked them all.
Waddle and Pat Fairmouth are my 2 notable ones. I've had Gio Bernard as my top rostered player, one of my top since the last 5 years. I just will not let that go. I had Andrew Luck up there because I just wasn't dropping him and I refused to drop him.
I have one player at 50%. De'Ami Brown. Here
I know
are,
you traded. He got him from me. No.
I got him all over the. But here, okay.
Yeah.
So I am in approximately 20 leagues. Here are my most owned players: De'Ami Brown, Justin Ross, Jalen Guyton. So far, 2 out of 3 are on IR. Jerick McKinnon, Keontae Ingram, Jamal Williams. This one I did not see coming. Kirk Cousins.
That's sneaky, like that's sneaky value on Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins,
Yeah.
Tua, ARSB, CJ Uzuma. I don't know who I am anymore because I apparently have Christian McCaffrey on 5 teams. Oh, I share 2 of them with Bosch. Okay, that makes sense now. David Bell, Isaiah Likely, Isaiah Pacheco, James Washington, Jeremy Ruckert. Hey, Sal, how's it going? Keenan Allen, Kenny Galladay, and then we get to T. Higgins.
De'Ami Brown's one of those players who shows up relative to his slot rate and his A dot. He was actually underperforming, but he was overperforming compared to the average. That thing I've been looking at lately that neither of you know because no one watches my videos, but like he's one of the ones I might have been able to flag if I'd known that. But yeah, I had a lot of De'Ami Brown after that draft. 2021. Crazy times. Crazy times. Andrew A says Zach in the house.
I am my own house. This is exciting.
My house. My house. Stickman87, 10-team Superflex start 9, 6-point passing touchdowns. Just traded Hurts for Kyler and the 101. Felt like a must accept, but worried about Kyler and 23. Did I mess up? I hate giving up Hurts, but for the 101, I think that's good.
I think you got a great price. You might be a little in trouble for next season, but you'll be great after it. Like if you have a strong replacement for Kyler, you're great. Because Kyler's going to come back by the end of the season and be Kyler again.
Yeah. Quarterbacks play forever. It's fine unless you're me and you're Russell or Andrew Luck and you're still recovering from that. Why me, Russ? All the bad things happen to me.
I told you, I just dropped him. My last share I dropped this season.
It's rough.
And
hope he's doing good though. Kyler gonna miss most of the 2023 season. Yeah,
half of it. Let's not exaggerate.
Honestly, but John Robinson's points will make up for it. Don't worry about it. Andrew Carlson, like the video. Anyone from the start? Oh, thank you, Andrew. His timeline was late November. Yeah,
I thought it was late October. It's worse. If it's
either way, you're not going to be starting playoffs, if anything, and then a worrying start to say the least. I'm a huge Deontay fan, but I traded Deontay, the 209, and the 2024 third for the 104. Yeah, I think that's good. I hate it too, but yeah, I think that's good. 1 QB PPR.
I don't care that it's 1 QB. That's great for.
You traded literally into the best tier too. Sorry, Russ. I think I'm lagging behind. I don't mean to keep talking.
No. I was just trying to find nope. That is just good. Like I wasn't like stuttering because you were talking. I was just thinking out loud and like, no, that was you did good.
How can I possibly tell this man he did wrong? I can't find a way.
I was trying. I really was trying.
It's a 5+ year league. That's why it's 1 QB start.
You can change.
5+1.
You can change.
5+. Is that a different kind of dynasty league where it only lasts for 5 years or something?
No, I just think you're saying it's old, so that's why it's like that.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a setting I hadn't heard of before. Like it's a dynasty league, but we're only playing 5 years.
You make the rule. You make the vote now, and it starts after the season. So just takes a year. Let people adjust.
Hernandez family, welcome in. 10-team Superflex. I have Watson, Cousins, Rogers, Love. I also have the 101, the 102, the 109, and the 110. Should I draft a QB at the 102 or load up on positional players? Yeah, like we were saying earlier about dynasties about replacing the draft, like I was saying, I think that's where most of our answers come from because your roster doesn't matter. What you have doesn't matter in the rookie draft especially. You draft the best player, which is probably going to be a quarterback at the 102. Yeah. Am I wrong?
Yep.
All right.
Don't need to add.
Patty Mills, one QB. 107 for 10. Yes, yeah, that's
Yes.
that's
Now,
okay, but
go.
prepare for them to
Yes.
quit the league when they just get angry over some small thing and insist it's
Throw-
not because they're terrible at Dynasty, it's because everyone's treating them unfairly.
Throw in
that's
the 410 also.
Why not?
yeah, just no, don't risk
Ask for a
reset.
second back. Why not?
No,
Don't
no.
risk sending another trade. They might realize. But yeah,
you accept that.
that's a terrible trade for them. Great for you though. Devin Stately, 12-team Superflex PPR start 11. I have the 101, and my QBs are Watson, Rodgers, and Howell. I don't hate that. I want to utilize the 101 to fix my QB room.
So trade.
In a Superflex, you can start to think like that. What do we think of the 101, 102, and Ramondre?
I would
For the 102
rather
on
trade the 101 for a QB plus as opposed to moving back the one spot and getting something like Ramondre. Well, I don't think that value is bad because Ramondre is worth a later
It's
first.
fine. It's fine.
But
Here's the thing, though. If you've got the golden ticket, you don't have to make adjustments to what they're willing to give you. You go get the thing that fixes your QB room, or you draft Robinson and wait for them to offer it to you later. That's going to be my... Like, I rarely am the one with the money, so if I've got the money, I'm going to be a dick about it. No, you give me Mahomes. Like, Mahomes is in this deal, or this thing is going to become my running back one for the next 3 years. That's B. That sound fair? Or unfair in the right way?
Russ is trying to figure out how to get out of Watson. Is really what I can say. I can see your wheels turning. I can see that. Like
the 101 on Watson for Mahomes. That's too much, and that would do it, right?
I would 1000% send the 101 and Watson for Mahomes or Allen or that's it. I just don't care. That's
Mahomes
fine.
or Allen. That's
I almost said Hurts, but honestly, I don't know. Like that. I don't know.
Try and fix all things with one trade. The other part. Like that's what the Ramondre thing is. It's like I don't remember, and I still get Ramondre. Like yeah, but you don't know that quarterback actually fixes your QB room, and Ramondre is decent, nowhere close to Bijan Robinson.
Well,
You're
and
trying
that's
to fix
the other
too many things with one move.
So even if Bryce Young or Stroud is what people think they are,
could be. Yeah,
how long did it take Trevor Lawrence, who's the best quarterback prospect that I've seen since Luck?
Mm-hmm.
How long did it take him to help your quarterback room?
Yeah.
So even if you draft a great like it may not help your quarterback room for a year or 2 or 3. I mean, like that's just the NFL. There's no guarantee that the quarterback is going to come in and be successful right away, even if they're a good quarterback. There isn't.
That's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, and Devin, I'm just trying to highlight, like, because I can be, obviously I'm wrong constantly, but like what I try to work on is making better decisions. And I like a lot of what you're doing here. You've broken down your team. You've decided what you need to do. You understand the value of what you have. And the only thing I would differ on your calculation here is you're trying to do too many things with the one trade. Like, do the thing that you want to do. Fix your QB room. Don't maybe fix it. To Zach's point, you might accidentally not fix it. And then you're back, but worse, because you don't have the 101. You don't have Bijan Robinson. You've got Trevor Lawrence after year 1, which was rough for those who had it. Maybe. If you got... Yeah, that's the one I want to highlight. It's not always the answer, but it's a good... The rest of your process is great.
Wait, real quick, before you move on.
Yeah.
I'm not super related, but 101 for Trevor Lawrence. Is that straight up fair?
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah.
I saw Bob Gilchrist had posted something.
I was
like
going to
that,
say, didn't he, for the Dynasty trade calculator? Check them out, by the way.
I think in a super
He
flex,
posted
it's
something like that.
probably Lawrence, but it's
right here.
real. That's real close, which is wild to say in a super flex.
The thing is, like, I don't want it to be because I want to be able to get Lawrence plus for my 101.
No, I don't think you're doing that.
Maybe. I
But
wish
too many things with one thing.
I wish I had the what's like a month ago, where I could have gotten Lawrence and Olave for the 101.
Yep.
I wish I had the what's.
It's a market thing, you know. Well, not market thing. That makes it sound too much. But like, if you timed, you listen to Travis May, unlike myself, and known in advance that Trevor Lawrence had struggled and was more likely. Or Fields, he was big on Fields as well. If you timed that right, you might have gotten something like that.
I was all in on both of those dudes. Like, so yeah, like I was there. I was ready to trade away the 101. That was what was scaring me.
Yeah.
And I should have.
To your point, the trade calculator literally posted out this question a while ago, and I have subbed because I am an honest man who likes to support the people that I get information from. Has a trade calculator. It's Trevor Lawrence, according to the PPC. Marginally, but it's Trevor.
The thing I think to kind of contextualize the 101 right now. So every now and then, do you guys follow Lance Zierlein?
I know
Lance Zierlein. So he's a draftnik, and he's one of the real respected college football analysts. And every now and then he'll drop like his grades, like he'll like do initial prospect grades. Well, he has Bijan Robinson at a 6.80, which puts him at running back 5 all time in Zierlein's rankings, behind Barkley at 7.4, Elliott at 7.3, Fournette and Dalvin Cook at 7.1 and 7.0. So he's like so when you're trading away that 101, that's the level of running back you are trading. So like, sit back and think, when you had prime Zeke, prime Fournette, prime Dalvin Cook, prime Barkley, are you trading them for a top 6-7 quarterback? And you probably are. It's real close, but you probably are.
Yeah, I wish I didn't chicken out.
Yeah. So I mean, just like I said, just for some context as to where, and I know I've said it before, where I've got my little Word document that says for Peter, where you had the Hold Yourself Accountable show a couple years ago, Peter, and so I have my like overall pre-draft rankings since like 2015, 16, whatever it is, and it's Barkley, McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Jonathan Taylor, and Bijan Robinson are tied. So like, you're talking, he's an upper echelon running back. So sorry, I was just giving, kind of contextualizing where we envision the 101 being.
Sorry, Blake Hampton just said he's stepping away from fantasy football, and I'm sad to see it.
I don't know who that is.
I think it might have been tongue in cheek, but yes,
he's a nerd. No, he seems pretty official about it. Well, maybe not. I mean, it's not like you have to submit a letter or anything. He can be back next week, and I'll be fine with it. But I wanted to respond because he shouted us out a little bit. Yeah, I agree with everything they just said, apart from the dumb bits. So yeah.
So basically, everything when Russ and I were quiet, he agrees with it.
I agree with those bits. Hey guys, locations matter. I get it, but is there a rookie wide receiver who must take the 102 regardless of landing spot, or just take Brees at 102? Bryce.
Oh, we're talking super flex. The answer is the quarterback.
Well, again, yes, but
I mean,
it's the caveat. I mean, it's the same caveat we had with Malik Willis last year. Malik Willis was the 101 if he's taken in the first round. If all of a sudden the NFL decides, we don't like these guys, which probably won't happen. But
like when I say that, it's as of the information we have right now.
Yeah,
it's Bijan, then the 2 quarterbacks, and then you pick your wide receiver. It's just like, at that point, maybe if you like JSN and Addison or whoever equally, maybe you use landing spot as a tiebreaker. But I mean, AJ Brown rule, man. Like, you don't let landing spot matter too much. And well, honestly, in either way, opposite direction, the CEH rule. Like, That was ridiculous. How much it pumped his value up.
Well, and I fought that one because he was my running back 5 pre-draft, and that was high. Like that was and I did the CEH, the Fresh Prince, and said, look, when your rankings come out, he better be top 5. And then everybody went Chiefs, and all of a sudden he was 1, and I'm like, can we relax on that? Because he did, like, his ability didn't change. He got the draft capital. Why am I moving? Like, it's tricky because if you can't,
It's tricky.
But you don't want to double count. So, like, if you think a guy's good and he gets draft capital, that should not change what you thought about it. Like, to me, most of the time, I'm changing guys down who I thought were good, but the NFL says we don't trust them. So if they're not getting first 3-round capital in the NFL, it's a really steep road to get playing time. In order to put up points, you need to have playing time. So even if I think you're good, if you're not on the field, it doesn't matter if you're good. Now, if I think you're good and the NFL says, yeah, we're going to draft him in the first round, that doesn't change my opinion of him. It doesn't move him up. It doesn't, like, you're still where you are because I expected that to happen. So it's landing spot. It's mostly a shrug, although running back landing spot where you land in a situation where you are the back is nice. It doesn't necessarily change ranking. So I think that's the thing that we get so caught up in is trying to predict what will happen in the NFL when the guys running the teams don't even know. So it's just a matter of, like, I think a lot of times draft capital is self-fulfilling prophecy. You spend money, so you are going to put those players on the field. If you put those players on the field, they have a better chance to succeed. And so draft capital matters. Landing spot does to some extent, but not like.
I have a rookie rankings just. Mine are just going out the window and starting over because
just quit.
Marcus Mosher 13 hours ago tweeted out, here is every one-on-one rep by Houston wide receiver Tank Dell on day 1 of the Senior Bowl. So you're telling me
you could draft
I
Tank
could draft
2 tanks,
2 players at different positions named Tank.
Sounds like a start of a dynasty to me.
I
hear
all your babbling about stats and tape on JSN. I get it, but 2 tanks.
2 tanks.
2 tanks win.
At different positions. You know what this means? I need more tanks at different positions.
I need more tank. We all need.
Give me a quarterback and a tight end.
Russ.
If there's a tank that's a kicker, I'm putting kickers in my leagues.
Russ, my team name in Trade Addicts 11 is now tanking for 2 tanks.
Tanking for 2 tanks.
Well, shit, now we have to start that league right away so we can get this going with that. Like, oh my God.
2 tanks and a Bigsby. Let's go. Cypher. It's the season where the part that I'm going to focus on here is that locations part, just assuming you mean landing spots. You could mean other things, I guess, but I guess it's landing spots. I like the double counting thing you mentioned, Zach, but to add more nerd words to the discourse, one that I think we should recognize is don't count false positives. I've been painfully trying not to do that for myself for a while. Like Corey Davis, I really tried. Even Devontae Parker's 4th year top 24 breakout. Like, I got him wrong. And if you were a big fan of Robert Woods when he was drafted, you got him wrong too. I hate to tell it. By and large, players are good where they get drafted, not good because of where they are drafted. There's also something like we didn't want to miss on Clyde Edwards-Helaire because of Elijah Mitchell. Those prospects who profiled like maybe, and then were a lot better than we thought. And we're like, well, screw it. I don't want to make that mistake again if the Chiefs think it. there are two different processes going on. You have to do the best you can at estimating who is likely, or just take ADP, to be good for fantasy in the NFL. Like, you have to do that. You can't try and do both at the same time where you're like, okay, I'm going to live adjust what I think right now. So you draft the best player. And if you are wrong, you make the draft pick and it turns out to be Corey Davis. It turns out to be, I was going to say Tank Bigsby, though that doesn't work. Devontae Parker. It turns out to be N'Keal Harry. It's not, the situation just sucked. Even though that might be the legitimate real reason, just not to make Zach mad about N'Keal Harry, because we both like him. He's got big thoughts about New England. The answer is there was something wrong with my process. If I can't fix it, then I just have to be more timid when I see this kind of profile, because I don't know why it went wrong. That's why I do that bust series every off season where I go back to the players I've gotten wrong, gotten right, and try and figure out if there's anything that I could have seen. Because if you try and do that live, like I'm on the clock and the NFL like this guy, you end up drafting more misses, and it always feels worse to be wrong on someone else's say-so. And now, again, you can just use ADP as your default rank for who is better and who is worse, and that's fine too, but that you play the value that way. It feels more like an outhouse way of doing it. So it feels like you've got the two processes fighting each other when you ask this kind of question. I want the quarterback, but I don't want this and I don't want that. And draft based on who you think is going to be more likely to be better for fantasy in the NFL. Positional scoring gets built into that. If you're in a superflex league, the quarterback matters more. Now, if you are not confident in your take on that QB1, that's a different question. But you don't draft the running back because you're scared of the quarter. But you don't draft the quarterback because of positional value. You have to make that estimation separately if they're going to be good or not, or trade out. It's always the dynasty way. And it's important this year. Like, the landing spots for these wide receivers will not matter to what I expect for them. Their draft capital might, because there's a lot of money and talent behind evaluating these players I simply don't have. And it's the most significant signal, and I'll bow to it. But I'll adjust for it. I won't completely write it off. And so when Dimey Brown drops, even though new parts of my process might have made me more timid on him, I will take him at a discount, but I won't draft him in the first round because that's what my ranks say. And it's the similar problem, the opposite, when you're playing these games with, do I draft a quarterback or running back? If you think the quarterback's good, you take the quarterback because it's super flex. If you're less sure of that, then find someone you think is better at it. Not me. Travis is pretty good. Try Travis. Quarterbacks, I hate them. Or trade out is the answer. Not draft the other position because you're more scared of them. Draft the best player. I think some of that made sense, so I'm worried. But anyways, I think that's important this time of year. Like Wilson going to the Jets, not scary. AJ Brown going to Tennessee, like Zach said, not scary. I mean, if I think the player's good, and if it just turns out they're not, I don't post hoc justify it. I was just wrong, so I have to figure out why I was wrong, not game plan a better strategy in the draft. Anyway. Good question, Cypher. Andrew Carlson is talking to Patty, so I'm just going to move on from that. Joe Herbert, after a season where 64 quarterbacks hit the field, thoughts on upping the priority of the QB3 on a contending Superflex team? No. I mean, QB3 has importance on a Superflex team in general, but I already kind of prioritize that second and third level of quarterback in drafts, but not in value, because the value is what it is.
Yeah, and I also think that reframing your process based on an outlier season,
that's a good point.
Isn't like, now if 64 quarterbacks play in the next 2 or 3 seasons, yeah, let's start doing that. But again, how do you know who to pick up and who do you like?
But also, there are plenty of people that value their QB4 as I value my QB2. You know, like, you got Hogue out there with QBX, where, you know, worrying about your QB3 is like laughable because he has like 5.
Right.
So, I mean, there are people that are like that already, and it is more based on value than it is based on worrying about injury. But especially in a 12-team Superflex league, there are plenty of startable or very good backups that have a place on rosters and aren't very expensive to trade for. So I don't think it's anything you have to reprioritize, raise your priority, because I think it's technically there already. It's just.
And the other thing is, to me, I think a lot of people get caught up in the idea of, in a super flex, you have to start 2 quarterbacks.
That's also fair.
Like, look, and I'm guilty of this in several different leagues where I didn't prioritize quarterback because that's not something that I don't want to take quarterbacks after Kirk Cousins. I don't want quarterbacks. I don't want those, because I think I can draft a better position player and score as many points as I can get with whoever you're throwing in there. I mean, obviously you're going to have like a Mike White week where he scores a bunch, but by and large, the backup quarterbacks and the third string quarterbacks that played this year are not going to do what you want a quarterback to do. And it's easier to figure out who's going to be a position player that will score you points. So,
yeah, it's more important to have however many starting positions in your lineup. It's more important to have that many strong players as opposed to 2 quarterbacks and 8 strong players. It's just, you just need 10 strong players. One at whatever your starting requirements are. You're not required to start 2. It's not 2 QB. So you don't need.
It's kind of like I argue with John Hogan as QBX. It's like the value isn't there. I mean, you get better values in the draft. Maybe they should be valued more. In fact, I would agree with that. But you kind of have to force a league to think that way if it doesn't think that way. And oftentimes you don't get, like, the value doesn't emerge because of what you think is necessary. And also the other part is we like to pretend we can guess which one's a Gardner Minshew. And normally Gardner Minshew isn't rostered by anyone, that except for the one just rostering constant benches full of quarterbacks who thinks they're somehow hitting at a high rate because they found Gardner Minshew. And they normally end up being Gardner Minshew, not Dak Prescott, not Tom Brady, who did great. And it still doesn't matter.
I happen to have a list of quarterbacks I started in one, super flex plays that I started in one league. Flacco, Matt Ryan, Cooper Rush, Bailey Zappi, Brett Rippon, Kenny Pickett, Josh Jacobs, PJ Walker, Austin Eckler, and Cooper Kupp. So those were my super flex plays. Nice. And that team was like decent. Finished third.
Also, wasn't it last year where the changes in the passer interference rule or something, it meant that like no quarterbacks were getting touched, and that's why they thought the passing went off the charts. And I don't think that's the entire reason. This seems like a reaction to it. Like they got a little heavier on quarterbacks in terms of the way they were playing. And it'll bounce around. Like to Zach's point, it's probably an outlet.
Just a whole bunch of injuries this year, which was, I mean, it was a weird, there were a lot of concussions. There were a lot of, it was just a weird year.
There you go. Sorry, send the pics of Olave. I don't have any.
He's talking about someone
else. Yep.
Mixon owners just stuck keeping at this point, probably. But I mean, every league's different, and you can't always trade for value, and you should mostly trade for value when you got running backs because it's the nature of the position. I have him. No one seems to want. Then you're keeping him. I'm competing, but he's my oldest running back. I mean, that's why we trade him earlier before it's good, before you feel like you should trade them. Or you roster him, and it's fine. I mean, you've got Mixon. He's going to do stuff. Do a right amount? Yeah. What would you sell him for? That's a more direct question. Depends on the situation. If I'm on a competing team like you, like I'm saying, like I probably found better value in keeping him than trading him. But in your draft, if you see a player falling because everyone actually hates Josh Downs or they really think that quarterback is too small, you can use them as something to add your first 2 to go up and get him or your second 2 to go up and get him. And that's the way I would think about that type of player. Is there someone I can pair him with to go and get something that I think is undervalued or somewhat of a higher tier, higher value, whatever. It's a 1 QB league, PPR. Well, not the quarterback then, but you get what I mean. Start 8. I should probably read the whole question instead of trying to answer it in pieces. Don't you think? No. Did that work? All right.
Only be Peter. Don't be someone else. Just be yourself.
I don't like me.
Read every other word and then try to answer it.
Have I told you the story about when Yeah. Story for every word. Nice. But no, is there anything in particular you're trying to target Mixon with? Are you really happy to be rostering Mixon right now?
No, I do not want to roster Mixon anymore because it was really funny. I made a wonderful joke last night where recording Trade Addicts. I'm like, I know right now Kyle Lebrecht is not listening, but I know he hears that I'm about to say either Samaje Perine is freaking great or Joe Mixon just isn't good anymore because Samaje Perine looks great compared to Joe Mixon. Like, it's just...
That's fair.
I don't know if he was hurt, if he's just lost a step, if the defense sees Mixon on there, so they throw an extra guy in the box that they don't for Perine, but Mixon looks slow. Mixon doesn't get the yardage he's supposed to.
Mixon's been my quintessential, remember that top 12 isn't so good guy for a while. He's been in the top 12 twice, and he's never felt like he paid off. And the reason we keep hanging on to the name value is because he was hyped up a lot by a lot of famous analysts because he was meant to be the next guy he's not, if you know what I mean. And we're still hanging on to that. At the same time, yeah, he's probably going to play and score points, and that's why I'm mostly holding on to him. But yeah, it's a good point on Samaje Perine finally getting good. There is something to the situation helping out running backs a lot, you know? I remember it used to be Washington, right? Who's the running back in Washington that they used to say Robert Griffin helped out?
Alfred Morris.
That's a fella. And that was primarily, the idea was because of the rushing. But yeah, if everything else is firing on offense, it's easier to fire in your area of the field. Might be what's going on with Perine, and that's bad for Mixon if so.
You know what's wild, though? Is he finished as the points per game running back 8. And I know he had the 45. Like, I know he had the crazy week. But, like,
he played.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
I mean, he missed 2 games. He missed 2 games with a concussion and was still a top. Like, I don't know.
I don't think you ever really felt great starting him, though, except that 1 week.
Right. I mean, but that's fine. But, like, you're not getting that production, and he's not going anywhere. Like, if they cut him, they still have to pay him almost $6 million.
Oh yeah, no, he's not going anywhere.
No, they're gonna bang
like
him.
They may cut him after this year because I think they only owe him like 2.5. But they're not like they can save.
I could take advantage of that name value that he still carries. I think I do that very quickly. And honestly,
I
don't know how much it is anymore. Like, I think it's rough to get a decent first for him.
I don't think you get enough. If you can't get one for Henry, you're not getting one for Mixon.
Yeah, Mixon's younger and on the Bengals. That's really all I got. Yeah,
it really does depend on what you can get, obviously, but hopefully that gives you a fair idea. I think in most situations, Andrew, you got Joe Mixon. I mean, it's worse. My running back room looks worse. Trust me. Trust. Bryson Daggett. What's the best strategy for offloading old receivers? Don't. That's the best strategy. Who are still producing for young talent or draft capital. Is it a bad idea to pair draft picks with the receivers to age down? No, it's not bad, actually. You can do any move anytime if you get the right value for the right team structure. But broadly, someone else talk first. I've been talking a lot, and like this one's a rant. So,
okay, go ahead.
Sure. Okay.
So here's the rough part. You need to find someone in your league that doesn't care what time of year it is. They want to look at their lineups. They want to say, I am starting these people. And if you don't have that in your league, it is insanely difficult to move older, especially older. Well, you're not talking about moving running backs, but like older running backs are almost impossible to move. Older wide receivers, it can be okay, but still, it's very, very difficult to move them now. Your best chance to move them is always when points are being scored or right before they're being scored. But you make a great point at the end. You say, is it a bad idea to pair picks with these players to age down? No, that's how you have to do it.
That's what we said for Mixon. You know, that's a solid idea no matter who it is.
If you can throw Keenan Allen and an early second to get into the late first, like talking like going from the 202 to the 108 in a 12-team league. I mean, that's sadly good value for him. And you are aging down, you are at that and moving up. That's those specific spots. If you could magically pull up those exact numbers, you can be walking into one of those wide receivers that will, fall because maybe someone grabs Levis or Richardson a little earlier than we think they should go. And maybe you get Quentin Johnson Andrew's listening. So maybe you get Hyatt or Flowers for whoever brought him up before. It's absolutely
Andrew's now just part of the show. He's like adopted him.
Yeah, he's been the name.
He's been one of the most loyal comments. Yeah.
So yeah, like I think that is literally like you're asking if it's a bad idea, and I'm saying I think it's the only idea. Like it's a really good move.
Yeah. And I think the other thing, Bryson, that I would do, and I completely agree with Russ and Peter, that pairing a pick and moving, there are going to be some younger wide receivers who are undervalued. Peter will invariably go to Ayuk and Hollywood Brown, they are. And if you are trading an older wide receiver to get younger and still have production, those are two really good players to target. I still think Devontae Smith you're going to have to put a little bit more with what you're giving up, but I still think he's undervalued. Jerry Jeudy right now is criminally undervalued.
I don't like it.
Wide receivers.
Okay, Peter, but
last like 7 weeks of the season.
I'm going to tell you a secret.
All right.
That offense is going to get a lot better.
Oh, it is. Yeah, that's right.
Like a lot better. And the slot receiver in that offense is going to be Jerry Jeudy and targeted. Like that is going to happen. Russell Wilson is going to get the ball out quicker in the Sean Payton offense. Like this is right now is a good time to buy Jerry Jeudy at wide receiver 30. Wide receiver 30, that's insane. But anyway, and I still think Calvin Ridley is a buy, even though he's 28. If you're aging down from somebody like Lockett or like you said, Keenan Allen, then Ridley is still a target of mine.
No, I think those are all good ideas. And yeah, I always try to avoid being Lucy, being Charlie Brown with the football. And I've had those vibes with Jerry Jeudy so often. I kind of like Cortland Sutton coming into the year, but that's a different conversation. What I'm going to say is to add, not to write over. Like, I think these are just additional thoughts. Wide receivers produce when they're older. Dynasty players get scared of them when they're older. It's fucking weird, to be honest with you. Not to make this an X-rated thing, but I can't monetize these damn streams anyway for some reason, so I don't care.
It's a value issue.
And that's what I was going to say. What's the difference between, Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams? About 20 positional ranks in current ADP. That's the difference. So which older receivers are you talking about? If you're talking about Tyreek Hill and you're a competitive team, you can age down because he's so high valued right now, like Devontae Adams. But you could also, if your league's wise to that, and they know those guys are older because they're dynasty progressive struggle degenerates, go for Cooper Kupp and a pick. That's an older wide receiver that's actually received the discount. And so you can also trade older wide receivers for older wide receivers and trying to gain value to replace the draft in another way. And so I wanted to add that as a potential thought, because it's not just Kupp. Who else did I notice down here? He's actually right next to Marcus Brown, Brandon Ayuk. Jamison Williams is an interesting one if you're looking to age down. And you have Cooper Kupp. It's possible to add a second and move over to the younger player in the same category, but there's a lot less points on the table, so you've got to be building in a way that's purely about value and value over the next 2 years instead of value and points over the next 1 year. But yeah, dynasty players, I think, are obsessed with age, and they tend to make a lot of mistakes. Mike Evans is, in fact, in that range as well. So if you've got those players, like you don't, unless adding a pick to go hit on a draft pick, or maybe Jerry Jeudy, like Zach Reed, was just, I don't know why I second named you there, was just talking about.
That was kind of weird. I'm like, wait, did Zach leave that he just had to drop a full name?
As long as you don't throw my middle name out there, I'll know I'm not in real big trouble.
Yeah, right. I don't know it. Anthony, Zach Anthony,
I love it.
Just made fun of it. No, I'm just used to doing. I always refer to things that you two say or someone else says, and that's I'm just a second naming everyone so they know who I'm talking about when you're not sitting there. But like that's player evaluation to me, and it's not that it's a bad method and a bad way to go about it. But in Dynasty, I think broad scale, the advice that I try and give is I'm not going to assume that the players in your leagues don't like jury duty because I don't know. I mean, maybe make those investments. That's why we write those value arguments. But I think broad scale Dynasty wise, the best strategy, to use your terms, is instead to think about who is older that is undervalued that I can add more capital to maintain value and maybe get points. So that's Mike Evans and Cooper Kupp. You can trade down to them technically from older wide receivers in the top 12. Whereas if you have Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams, it's a different conversation because despite being in the same risk category, i.e. the prime of their career, you can actually get a whole lot more in most leagues. And so, those are my additional thoughts. Don't know why I talk about it so weird, but there you go. Order 66. Actually, you have a life tonight. Oh, I'm happy to hear that. Let us know what that's like. So I'll have to catch you guys on replay. I appreciate you doing that, though. Have a great night, all, and thanks for your insight. Thanks very much, buddy. Thanks for stopping in to let us know that you would be here. Kevin Ferguson, Walker points per game. Greater than ETN. Yeah, that's the thing. ETN's also overvalued, dude. That's the thing. There are relatively few really good under 24 running backs, and as a response, we're overvaluing them. I saw someone the other day saying, as a warning, don't trade for running backs this offseason, which one, you knew around here, it's Dynasty, of course, but also, that's why I keep saying it's interesting. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying that's right. But as a response, everyone in Dynasty suddenly likes running backs a lot less. And I'm like, they're still going to score points. So you might find some interesting windows. But the ones that are still held up there, like Walker, like ETN, like Swift, honestly, sadly high relative to the overall drop in running back value. That's interesting.
To Gavin's point, yes, his value is insulated. But it's he's literally the third running back off the board, and he's never going to score as the third running back off the board. So go trade for somebody who can either as a wide receiver. I'd trade him for a wide receiver right now.
This is a timeline we actually know, and one that that it's insulated for 3 months. Yeah. And not when they start playing, they'll be bad, but by this time next year, there'll be a radically different top 12, and they may be in it. But they won't be the bee's knees of it anymore. It'll be Bijan Robinson. It'll be a couple of other young ones that we don't see coming. Maybe even Gibbs. Some players coming back from injury are like, oh, yeah, I forgot they were really good. And Barkley and CMC are still going to be doing those type of things. So, the rank is absurdly insulated for the next 3 months too high.
If you trade Walker within the next 2 weeks before A.J. Brown goes for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl on an island game, you'll be able to get A.J. Brown. You'll be able to get Jalen Waddle. You'll be able to get
St. Brown.
St. Brown. You'll be able to get T. Higgins. You'll be able to get Garrett, any of those players, and probably a bump. You'll probably be able to get a second. And if you got a second, you may be able to replace Walker's points with that second and get a young, proven top 12 wide receiver on top. So it's nothing against Walker. Walker's fine. But Walker's being overvalued based on the points that he will score in PPR leagues. He just is.
That's the thing. It's the annoying part about Dynasty. You love Walker.
Swift also outscored him. Swift actually outscored Walker points per game. But I don't want to be pedantic, but he did.
Okay.
And I am.
LON pedantic.
The bastard thing about Dynasty is to elevate the player overall in most situations to get over that 55% line that ADP gets you. You have to stop rostering players because this is my fantasy team. I'm going to roster my favorite players. Not that you don't get to do a little bit of that, but everyone in your most leagues, I don't know your league, but we all know ADP is popular. Most of the data is free. It's hard to find edges, and so you walk away from rostering the best players, the players I like the best, unless you just want to play that, in which case that's fine. But obviously play how you want to play, but it's not we're trying to score more points rather than roster the team of my favorite players, which is also a valid goal, to be clear. Three of you guys compliment each other really well. I have never complimented these idiots.
That's very fair. He has never actually complimented us.
Never.
I think
wait,
you
wait,
guys
no,
all,
it's spelled correct.
you guys both look great.
No. He spelled it. He spelled it correct.
See, that's a secret insult. You see what you've started here, Andrew? You're now the next 2 hours are going to be incredibly catty and backhanded, like off-screen in jokes about how much we hate each other. But I appreciate you. Thank you very
we're
much.
super nice to each other on here, but like our group DM, as we are
Minute
talking, we are just.
The minute that
insulting each
music
other to no end.
finishes,
Like
we're all head bobbing at the end of it, and then it starts.
you
man.
would be
don't-
surprised how I really feel about Zach Reed.
You don't want to hear the kind of words that he knows. I didn't know he knew those swear words.
I had to
I'll
look
be honest.
several of them up.
I know the Urban Dictionary has become my best friend because of the
Zach Reed got
out of
a
school
creative
hours
writing
on here.
degree so he could make fun of me. He knew.
Yeah, he doesn't
in
just
the
insult
future-
you; he makes it poetic, and that's just the most annoying thing. Like
He knew in the future
that
he was
hurt
gonna
me, and I
a
have to
friend
remember it.
He just hated so much.
Damn,
that
I
he
have to
would
write
need.
that down, and it's going to hurt me every time I
Yep.
remember it. It's the worst. Don't you ever break up the group? I always have notifications for your Dynasty Grand, Peter. I really appreciate that, Andrew. You, me, and the Wolves for life. Gavin Ferguson, especially consider the offense is likely to improve with Seattle. I can say words. Using their picks, including their first 2 rounds to improve their weapons, well, they could trade. But yeah,
You
I mean,
are putting far too much faith in Seattle's front office.
especially in the draft. I will say though, the team's good. They should look in Geno Smith. Like
They way outperformed what that team was. Like
look at it this way: we just saw Walker do great when the team was just kicking ass all season. Like, and you want more. Like, I get it, don't we all? But like, don't be greedy. It's Dynasty. If it doesn't work out, then you're rebuilding your team all of a sudden. And like, you're playing fantasy, you're playing NFL. And if you want to play NFL, that's fine. Rust your favorite players and the best offenses, and that's all cool. But it misses more often than it hits. You know what I mean? There's no upside. A great player in a great situation on a team that really did really well. I bet it can get better next year. Like, you just had it. You had all of it.
I got a really good tweet just now from Andrew Cooper, who is at Coop a Fiasco, about carries inside the 5-yard line. The top 5 percentage. Ezekiel Elliott was 5th with 69.6% of the carries inside the 5. Jamal Williams was 4th with 85%. Derrick Henry had 88%. Josh Jacobs, 92%. Kenneth Walker had 100% of his team's carries inside the 5-yard line this year. That is not going to happen repeated like that.
And that's with the team getting to the
I
red
don't know if
zone a lot.
Ever heard
That's how
that
it was.
before.
Like, the team
That's
did really
wild.
well. Got to the red
Yeah.
zone a lot. And if you're interested in that, like, I was tracking touches, receptions, and rushings in my 2022 data, which was free and public, and I wrote up every week. So like that sheet's still out there, so you can see exactly how they touched it and where they touched it in the red zone. And it was pretty interesting. We used it for regression. My article series this off season. But I guess read it off a random tweet on Twitter too, so that's fine, Zach. You see how it starts? This is how we build in what we're going to argue about after the stream. Gavin
If
Ferguson.
If your spreadsheet was 280 characters, Peter, or if your article, then I'd be all TLDR, man.
Fair enough. Long story short, I think Walker is someone you should hold. Not at that value, but
That's the
yes,
thing.
if you can't get that value, you hold him. That's why I keep saying it's Dynasty. Like, it's not some big brain thing. I know how to play Dynasty. It's like, you know this too, Gavin. Like, if you're offered more than he should be traded for, even though you like him and you think he's going to be good, like if you're offered fucking Bajon Robinson on the first, you take that, right?
Right.
And that's what we're saying. We're saying that line is somewhat over his head right now in most leagues according to ADP and ranks. Even by more than Salad, no, I mean, sure team, but I think we've explained why we wouldn't. And to be clear, to buy him right now, you would have to add to any other running back except for 2. and that includes Bijan Robinson. Flowers according to ADP in your league, maybe not. Andrew A. Flowers reminds me of Diggs coming out of Maryland. Just eye test, watching him play, not breaking down on measurables, which is good or bad. I can say, just based on my initial overview, that's basically heresy from my point of view, Andrew. And I excommunicate you from the Church of Nerd. Like there've barely been any profiles as clean and as good as Stephon Diggs from an analytics point of view. And the fact that he dropped in the draft was like, just like, we're going to solve Dynasty with this one, boys. And we did. Flowers is exactly not that. His production it looks impressive from a touchdown standpoint. And I don't want to write that off. I once wrote an article about how Henry Ruggs might be better than some of the nerds were suggesting because he was so involved in touchdowns, and touchdowns do indicate a skill set that is valuable and can work in the NFL. Dynamic playmaking ability, if not nothing else. And that's where Flowers fits in. A little better than Ruggs, to be fair, but like initial glance, profile-wise, which is nothing like, I realize you're not talking about that, but two very, very different. Very, very different in terms of how they compare to past players. But yeah, I think he's interesting. And Travis had the interesting touchdown things to share on him. So Zach, you already talked about him. And Russ, you don't say who? Yes. Okay.
Sorry, I just got a ridiculous trade offer that I'm freaking out about.
No, I haven't sent any recently. I'm good.
No,
JJ.
Reeves.
$2.
I would send that for the 101 very easily, JJ.
The 4, the 7, and the 9 in a 1 QB league. Yes. Yeah. I mean, the 4, it's a little hard, but sure. Whatever.
No, in a 1 QB, running back or wide receiver 2? No, give me.
There, like I say, I think there are 4. It might even be 5 players, depending on how your draft goes. Pick 5 could end up be one of my top, at least my top tier of player, if not the player in one of my top positional tiers.
Okay.
Top 4 picks.
So, Treylon Burks, T. Higgins, the 112, and a 24 first for the 101 and 2 mid-seconds.
Okay, so you should probably accept this, JJ. Yeah.
No, that's the Higgins side for me.
That's what I mean. Like that's
my original offer was Burks, Higgins, the 112, 24 first for the 101 and Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah.
And this was the counter.
That I can't trade in that league, Russ, unless it's with you. Like I can't. I don't know. That the values in that league just blow my mind.
I mean, like honestly, like I don't think this is necessarily bad. I
think it's a lot.
Well, it should be.
Yeah, but for the no.
I also just like I don't care. Like I've the 112 and my 24 first. That's going to be the 112 also because I'm going to keep winning this league forever now. Like. I don't think I would necessarily care too much about that.
Let's put our idea to the test there. Here's some trades for Kenneth Walker recently. Basically, Kenneth Walker for Breece Hall plus something. It's been J.K. Dobbins or Desmond Ridder. I'm guessing that's a superflex league.
I may have just sent Kenneth Walker for Breece Hall and a second to J. Mike just to see what he says.
Yeah, I think those are both good. Well, I don't like the pluses, but the value is fine. Kenneth Walker for T. Higgins, basically straight up.
No, give me
Kenneth
Higgins.
Walker and Ayuk for Higgins.
Wait, say that one more time.
Walker and Ayuk for Higgins. It's close, but you prefer Higgins, right?
That would actually push me towards the Walker side, I think.
That's pretty close. But I think I'd take Higgins there, but it's close. Jahan Dotson and Walker for Jeff Wilson, Elijah Mitchell on a 2nd round pick. Okay, don't do that. Don't do that trade. I'm not seeing a lot of walk-away wins unless Breece Hall's involved, actually. I like the Higgins trade myself. Wow, that's terrible. Walker and DK Metcalf for Harris and a first. 24 first.
I mean, you can't predict you've made that pick very much not the 101, even if it was before. So
Yeah.
that I can't find a way where that becomes
Walker for Jacoby Myers and a 23 first. No number on it.
Again, if that is like the 101, 102, we could talk about it, but
yeah, that's terrible. Devontae Adams and Cordell Patterson for Kenneth Walker in the first. When was this?
Oh,
This
Kenneth
is back
Walker.
in September. Oh, this is back in September. I'm way far back.
Okay, that's
See, I don't.
You scrolled too far.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. There's been no trades for him since October, and I think that's the problem. Like his value's so high, no one's trading for him. So maybe there's a misvaluation. Ridley Truther, gentlemen on a middling 22 roster. See, that's the thing. Those trades are close from back before Kenneth Walker had done something good. Like, so now, presumably, you see where I'm at? Welcome back, Ridley Truther. Nice to see you. On a middling 22 roster, 12 teams who flex 1 point PPR tight end premium, what's your cutoff as of today to move from a late 23 first to a random 24? I think they're even. That's about. It's normally a second to a first, but a late first to a random first is probably about even.
Okay, so last year, Zach, it was like the 102 for you to move into a 23 random 23 first. What's it for you this year? Is it the 7 or 8?
Yeah, probably 8.
So if you have anywhere between the 8 and the 11, you would trade it for a 24 first.
Yeah. Okay, so while that, I think, as of right now, I agree, but I am going to be saying you're getting a QB this year. You give me a first and a second.
That's fair. No, and that's fair because there's a very good chance that like Anthony Richardson or Will Levis gets drafted.
Be there.
Yeah, and they're going to be the Anthony Richardson is going to be the crazy litmus test for this class, I think, because we've been so bad as a group in Dynasty at letting that quarterback that went in the first round that people didn't love coming out fall too far and become Josh Allen, become Daniel Jones, become Jalen Hurts, although he was a second round pick. Like that type of player. And again, I haven't watched quarterbacks yet, but I've watched enough kind of satellite around Florida to know that Anthony Richardson can move the pocket and move. And so he's that player that is going to be the litmus test for this class this year. So I don't think you're wrong, Russ, in asking for more. I'm not sure if you get it.
Yeah.
But I'm a little upset, actually. This year, I think all the good fights are going to be about quarterback.
Yeah.
Just to interrupt your good content and information, like I think people are going to fight about Richardson and Levis and whichever of those quarterbacks is short. And all of those are fun arguments I'd love to have. But I hate arguing about quarterbacks.
Nah, there'll be plenty about wide receiver.
You
and
think?
The running back. Like
hoping.
I've seen so many tweets this past like 2 days about how the running back class is underwhelming and the class in general is underwhelming.
It's a depleted class.
Yeah, and it's just like
you gotta love him. I mean,
I can count.
Content.
I can count. It, like I said, 7 players right now, which I couldn't last class. I could count Breece Hall last class. 7 players that I am really confident in their talent. And last year, and we talked about this, Peter, like we knew that they were
separate them out.
Yeah, we knew that there were going to be players that are going to be good.
The answer was just all of them but Sky Moore, it turns out. So
I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah. I mean, that was the problem. We were like, I'm pretty sure they're good, but I wish one of them was standing out, except for Breece Hall. Yeah. And this year, it's like, these ones really stand out, and everyone's like, oh, that sucks. Like, okay. I like that they stand out, personally. I don't know. But I think that's a good answer. I hadn't thought about it that way, and it's a good line to draw. Anything after the 108 you can trade for a first in 2024. I think that's solid. Yeah. Would you try and get to 25 and maybe get that second? Because I know you're starting to think about the 25 class a bit. You mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on my roster. Depends on whether I'm in that like move. But I do think that there are going to be some running back. The next class, there are going to be a few quarterbacks come out. So 24 has got quarterbacks. So that'll be an interesting. I mean, that'll be a deep class in Superflex just because it's got quarterbacks up at the top of it. So.
Yeah. No, Travis was talking about it, the extra year of eligibility and the fact the licensing deals, and it's made a few of the best prospects stay in. Makes sense.
Like, have we? Is that real? Like,
yeah,
like people have stayed in because of those deals.
Well, a combination of factors. They got an extra year of eligibility because of COVID. They are the best quarterbacks, and they're pretty secure in where they're at, and that they'll be in the, especially the quarterbacks. Like if you're going to line up people who are going to get licensing deals, it's probably going to be the locked-in quarterback starters for the teams that are going to be on rosters on games and stuff. You know, kind of makes sense. But yeah. And, you know, even if they don't earn $1 million, is the number and roll around, would you stay in college for $200,000 just before you go to the draft?
Yeah,
and, you know, you throw your lot in with injury and draft picks.
I mean, if we're assuming you're not,
and also they probably enjoy college. I mean, you know,
and we're assuming they're not actually getting paid for college. Like nothing will ever be. You know, basketball is such a brilliant movie. Like it
opening
got sports.
Yeah.
On the dot, like it is. Think about Shaquille O'Neal. Did he make his money in Orlando?
Not everybody knows he made his money in college.
He needed moving to LA.
To your point, though, Russ, Trey Benson, who is the running back out of Florida State this year, who like I'm watching Florida State, and all of a sudden see this running back kind of pop off, and I'm like, who's that? Go look, Trey Benson. I'm like, oh, cool. He's 6'1", 211. Is it
right? Sorry.
What?
No, it's just the size when I already know they're going to be incredible athletes, like a 6'1", 211 athlete. Jesus.
Yeah. Well, it's
impressive.
And he's a redshirt sophomore, so he's really like it's his third year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, look, let me go see if he declared. No, he and the quarterback are coming back. They've got an NIL deal where they're doing their own like shirts and making money off of merch. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, we'll see you next year, I guess.
Because we always thought like when we first heard, okay, that's going to hold people back, is it?
But it hasn't as much as you'd anticipated for sure.
I think it's gonna. I think it's going to play merry hell with those who believed in conference adjustments. But to be fair, they all suck because they're using conference adjustments, but still. Or team adjustments, because those have changed a lot. Like I've had to add teams to new conferences to do some of those averages because people like to look at them, even though I don't think they're that anymore. And also like 4-year players. Like that's going to become more common, but also less common in some cases because of I think it's going to play merry hell that people are using the banner signal of breakout age and early declare and late declare instead of understanding where that comes from. It's age relative production, not the age you are when you enter the NFL. And I think it's actually going to be really interesting. Sorry, I was actually going to ask you about Chase Brown. Just another random name to throw at you. Have you watched him yet?
I have not yet. He's on my list, Peter. He's on my list.
But I did see him. Not much of a receiver, but interesting.
I did see him not pass block today. There were a bunch of clips of Chase Brown like just missing pass block. Which doesn't actually matter, but we'll figure it out.
Fair. Sorry.
Yes, do that.
Kicks, I keep meaning to get to your question. A 2023 early second for Brandon Cooks.
And a second.
And a second in 24. Yeah.
I'd do that.
I think it was. I was doing the head movement before I get to the extra seconds. Yeah. Really, truth, where are all these buy low Lamar deals on the pods keep talking about? To be fair, every time I hear him talked about on Twitter, it is to badmouth him. Like, not much. I think people are crazy. Like his top 5 quarterback in fantasy, easy. He's in that top 5. So
regardless of if he stays in Baltimore or goes somewhere, I am so excited to see him in a not Greg Roman offense.
I don't understand offenses or coaching. I don't do none of that stuff. But it just seems like that system was good for him. Like, I don't know why you want him to be in a system that might not be good for him.
Because it wasn't good.
Well, yeah, I don't care if the team wins. I care if my team.
No. But like, he could and will do better in just a better offense.
That's what I mean, though. Like, he did like great in this offense.
Did he?
Yeah,
For a year.
top 5 quarterback.
For a year.
Okay.
For a year.
Got it. You've hated Lamar Jackson this whole time. Never
The
mentioned
whole
it. I know.
time.
You're
The
like,
whole
this
time.
sucks.
The whole
points
time.
The whole time.
He's a shit. He's.
See, I hate
Mrs.
Zach so
Doubtfire.
much. I don't insanely appreciate what he just did, and I don't love him even more for it. I hate him even more for it.
Damn, I hate you. Yeah, right. Really
see
true.
those over there, you ship
Right
them,
there.
and then those boxes over there, you ship those. More boxes come in, or more film comes in. You box them, you ship them. After I box them, you ship them. Smart ass.
12-team Superflex start 10 half-point PPR trying to trade Jacobs to get the 104. Okay. It's a 202 in addition. No, that's not too steep.
I don't care.
202 and Jacobs for the 104. Yeah.
The 104 is worthwhile enough that the 202 just doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Sucks that we're in a world where you just can't get the 104 for Jacobs at this point, but it is what it is.
He should, but there you go.
Yeah.
Gavin Ferguson, I'm trying to see if he'll go for Jacobs, the 209 and the 309. Have you had this conversation yet? Like, I would send the 104 straight up first.
And-
That's probably my first offer. And then I would add whatever second round pick. The 204,
You can-
209. Don't do it.
Yeah, like, don't let that affect the deal. You can grab random seconds and thirds whenever the heck you want. So just, go.
Gavin, allow me to
Try not
introduce
to
you
hit
to
everything with one trade.
209 and the 306. Yeah, go do that. Yes.
allow me
thinking
to
backwards, yeah.
introduce you to buying on credit. If there's somebody in the second round that you want, offer your third unless you've traded it, or a fourth, and next year's second. Look, a second and a fourth is better than a second. They'll do that trade, so don't worry about trading your seconds. Use those as pieces to move to where you want to get.
And don't try and fix everything with one trade. Like, just get the 104.
That's
Then,
the title.
then
of
worry
today's
about
show.
where you're second.
Don't try to fix everything with one.
I try to make it theme. I try and develop content. I don't know why. Not with YouTube. Fucking cats running around the place. It's like trying to herd cats. See? Madden's Pass 12-team. That was a sample of what it's like behind the scenes. 12-team Superflex. Give Jordan love. Yes. A 24 first and get AJ
Yes.
Brown. I'm not even reading the rest of this. Just Jordan Love. And yeah.
So you paid a
Or
first
whatever
for AJ
first.
Brown. Good job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good job.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And there a second and a third involved, and I don't care. Those two could also be first. Yes, do this to get AJ Brown. And Gavin Ferguson, rookie rank him in Superflex non-tight end premium. Maya, your QB 4, your wide receiver 3, running back 3. Okay. So Mayer, I think, is a tight end. He's just a tight end one in this class. I'm not overly excited about it. He's fine. He's pretty good. Maybe worth a late first in this draft class. But that tends to be a bad idea in rookie drafts. But, my QB 4, I don't see any outside the two that are really interesting. The one I had my eye on, I've been told, is not declaring this year. It's currently
Who's that?
Grayson McCall.
I've never heard that name before.
He's kind of interesting, but he's Coastal Carolina, so probably nothing. But I like some of his numbers. But he's not declaring this year. Jack Henner.
Yeah, you're making
I've currently
stuff up.
got him as my I've currently got him as my QB3 in a tier with Herndon Hooker and Malik Cunningham. The trick is Will Levis and Richardson and all the other I'm not going to draft them probably.
Yeah, so I think this is pretty easy for me, especially in a non-premium. It's going to be wide receiver 3, running back 3, QB4, Mayer.
Yeah.
Josh Downs is currently my wide receiver 3, which is a little higher than you, I think, Zach. But
Yep.
I won't.
But not too much. But yeah.
Let's see. I've got a tier 2 with Downs, Boutte, and Keyshawn, and Quinton Johnson. They're the second tier for me, and I can dither over the 3, but right now I don't have I think I lean Downs. That's why I put them at the head of the tier. My running back 3 right now is Hatron, and I did that video and ran through them last week, so I don't know why I'm answering it, but there you go. Tank. If you can draft a tank, probably draft a
Which
tank.
one?
But Tank Bigsby, but he's also in a tier with Zach Charbonnet, and I don't have a lot to separate them.
Going to be interesting.
Yeah,
I'm
they're both
really interested to see where he gets drafted because I liked him a lot. He's like he's my running back 3 with a bullet, and if he gets top 3 round capital, he would pass Gibbs. Like because I don't believe he will. I ranked him not thinking he would, but then you hear some rumors that there are teams that like him. He could be a 3 down back in the NFL. Like he's like Melvin Gordon-y. Like you're not like, but you're like, I did all right.
You've watched Tank though, right?
Yeah.
Some of his performance metrics are similar to Bijan Robinson, including the ceilings on elusiveness rating and yards after contact per attempt and stuff. And Zach Charbonnet's in the conversation, but I just found it notable because some of Bigsby's overall numbers are a little lower. But if you dig through them, you're like, this guy's doing really well. And he's called Tank. So that's pretty cool. And I think he was doing it on fewer touches as well, like 18 touches a game, receptions and rushing attempts was the max he got. He also got like 2.4 targets a game, which is not anything to sniff at. It's not your 20 catches or more metric, but he could have 3 downs in his range. That's why I like him. And he scored Tank. Like I can't state enough how biased I am towards stuff like that. But yeah, I would say I have 2 running back 3s right now. That's Bigsby and Charbonnet, and I don't have a clear separator right now. All right. All right.
Yeah.
Adam, HTX. Funny symbol I don't recognize. 12 team, Superflex, start 9. Pickett, Tannehill, Keontae Ingram. Word. Pierce.
Damian
Robinson
Pierce.
Jr.?
Brian Robinson Jr.
It's got to be Pierce, strong Pierce.
Damian Pierce.
That running back.
Damian.
No, that New England running back.
Pierre Strong.
Yeah, it's got to be it. Pierce?
Because
no,
Damian Pierce. How many times do you have to say Damian Pierce?
Why would you list Pierce after Keontae Ingram?
Alphabetical order?
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm an idiot. Robinson.
I guess that was right.
JT Warren, Javonte, AJ Brown, Dotson, Higgins, Thornton, and Garrett.
True.
I agree. Adam Herndon, big 1-12 team Superflex start 10. Lance Mack and Trash. My quarterbacks. Good old Trash. Trade the 104, the 105, the 205 for Swift, Kirk, and Willis for Hurts and Devontae Smith.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, all day, every day, actually. Had to process that one a little bit, but yeah. The 4, the 5, the 2, and Swift. And then you've got Kirk. Well, there's a lot, but yeah, I think Hurts and Smith
I do that
definitely
pretty easily.
It's a big ass package, but at the end of the day, I think you walk
it
away
feels
with a
bad
gold
because
bar.
you're. Yeah, but I do that, yeah.
Feels bad, but I do that. Haters make money. Imagine if the Bears didn't trade away the number 1 overall draft pick and drafted Bijan. That would piss off so many managers that traded the farm for him. I don't think they should have been trading for him the minute we knew he was 101, which is about a year and a half ago. But if he's good, that doesn't matter.
That's not bad.
No.
David
Remember when
Montgomery
Barkley went to the Giants?
David Montgomery is mediocre. Bijan is really good. Like David Montgomery was a running back 1-ish. Like, why are we?
Yeah.
Why would?
And don't get me wrong, I love rooting for other people to fail. especially people who have been telling you for like 3 years that they know that this class is going to be great, and now are suddenly like, oh, it's depleted. But I don't think that would be bad.
I mean, it wouldn't be the most ideal thing because you've got a running quarterback, but
yeah, I mean, it's not going to the Chiefs, but
well, okay, but
sorry.
that was more Clyde Edwards-Helaire and not Kareem Hunt, who led the league in rushing as a rookie. And
that's what I mean.
You know, like it's
a balance between the situation and the talent.
But I do think rushing quarterbacks tend to take runs away from running backs because there are only so many carries.
Yeah,
a little bit, but there are also more design runs and more.
I don't know if you've heard of it before.
What?
And more RPO. And
also there's this thing called efficiency, Zach. I'm not sure if you've heard of it before.
I have heard of efficiency. Yeah.
I think it's fine, but that's a fair point. Sean Riley, wow, I would not show those rostered players. Like, go check out your own, man. If the top of your rostered players aren't trashed, then you're playing in leagues with people not paying attention.
I will say, what would worry me about Bijan going to the Bears is, regardless of what it does for rushes, which I think both Zach and I are correct. You are going to lose numbers of touches, but usually it does help your efficiency. But the biggest loss is dump offs.
Yeah.
Because most rushing quarterbacks
they turn them into rushes.
Dump off.
Right.
And we need Bijan to get those.
No, that's a good point. Adam Pitts. That was the end. Oh, okay.
Pitts.
He ran out of space here. He's also got.
Oh,
Pitts.
I thought that was just like no Pitts.
I have Eland. I don't know that one. All the third picks with the 201. What are my strengths and weaknesses? Can rookie draft solve issues? Rookie draft doesn't solve issues. No. And build for value. That's the way to try and fix issues in Dynasty.
He's the 103.
For that. I don't know who Eland is. Eland?
No, that's
I think
saying he has the third pick in all round. So that's like the 103.
It's the 1.3. Okay, so when you're on your phone, if you hold on at least Android,
okay.
if you hold down the E, it turns into a 3. They went to hit backspace, but hit L, and then missed hitting space for and. I am very good when it comes to typos because I am terrible at typing on smartphones.
So he has a 103 basically. Is what he's saying. Yeah. The one thing I would say is don't plan to fix your team with rookie drafts unless you build in that specific way. Like Zach Reed,
but that's not
does have a way of identifying a class and trading into that class a lot early, so you can renovate your roster all in 1 year. But you kind of have to build towards that. You can't just do that all now.
That's fixing issues on your team, Zach, or is that just building?
No, that's how I build.
That's how to build a roster. Yeah,
I don't think you're solving issues through a rookie draft.
No, I'm adding my last piece through a rookie draft. Like I'm adding my running backs, or I'm, adding players that I think will turn into legitimate receivers.
Yeah, this would be a case of thinking as a rookie draft as a replacement or version of the actual draft. The draft is what we're trying to replace, and the rookie draft ain't it. It's about adding strengths, and there's more opportunities of value and getting anyone at a solid price. But no, don't try and fix a team.
But I will say that there aren't as many issues, Adam, on your team as maybe you think
That's
there
the
are.
thing I was going to say.
Like, yeah, you got a quarterback issue, which in a super flex is a big issue.
And at 103, you could probably snag one actually this year.
Well, you can, or you could trade Pickett, who people seem to like.
Some reason
you could add the 103 to Pickett and move up to one of the quarterbacks that you actually want.
I think you'd be more likely to grab Dak, who's kind of outside of our range, but real solid and has top 5 in his range of outcomes on a year basis. Dak's an interesting one for you to target. Or then there's the discount ones in the top 5, like Kyler, Lamar. That would be a solid first move. But that's using your draft picks to try and use the value to fix your one issue on your team, not trying to fix it through the rookie draft, to be clear. But yeah, I don't think there's team's got too many. Garrett and Higgins are real solid to start your team off with. JT at running
And
back.
AJ
I'd
Brown.
explore-
I mean, like AJ
And AJ Brown, yeah.
Higgins, and Garrett Wilson.
Your
are
wide receivers
nice.
are solid.
Jonathan
With JT at
Taylor
top,
as your
Yeah.
one
who you
with
can explore trading.
Yeah.
Because it's the off season, but you don't have to. Like we were
Super
saying with
strong
Walker.
roster. I mean,
you got to fix quarterback, and Pitts has got to get healthy.
And you'll be fine. As much shade as I've thrown at Pitts, you're fine with Pitts. And that value come up. Yeah, I think Zach's right. The main thing for you to do is try and use that 103 to try and do something about your quarterback. But that's not necessarily draft, but it can be.
And with your, because you've got the 201 and the 203, like you may be able to add running backs that kind of fill in and close those gaps in what you've got. And so I don't think, Adam, that you're as far off as you think you are. And I think that you can get there. You just gotta manipulate and get a real solid QB1, and all of a sudden your team looks pretty good.
I was gonna say, to your point, where's Charbonnet and Tank ranked right now in a superflex? Any idea?
Like in a regular, like a startup draft, or like in a rookie
Again,
draft?
we don't have ADP, so I'm taking our Divi ranks as like a version of it, because they're usually pretty sharp fellas. Early second round, like the 103-ish, is going to be Tank Bigsby sitting right there. It's Zach Charbonnet at 12. You could easily pick up a running back in that early second round. Yep. Yeah, you're good, Adam. Appreciate you. Andrew, who do you guys... I don't know why I can't. I think I've burnt out early. Who do you guys think has a better chance of a breakout wide receiver 2 year? Or a wide year 2 breakout? Khalil Shakir in Buffalo or Pierce? Alec Pierce. Yeah, it's Alec Pierce. I actually haven't run that analysis, but you don't have to for these two players. Alec Pierce had a pretty below average but a solid rookie year with higher draft capital. Shakir, I liked his profile, but he didn't do much this year. And just betting on who the new Gabe Davis is in my way. I think Pierce is actually a solid. I don't think it's going to happen, but I bet on him over Shakir. 10-team Superflex, start 10. Give Pittman 24 first and a 23 third for Amon-Ra. That's solid. I like that. Pittman to Amon-Ra for the price of a 24 first.
I would do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I am a little psyching myself up for the fact that Pittman might get a decent quarterback somehow. And when he has a good quarterback, he does really well. But I'm very willing to not.
Amon-Ra can do it without a decent quarterback. So, there's that. I'm kidding. Pittman was having a top 12 season for a minute there. Quite a lot of the 23 and 22 season. So, yeah. But I just prefer Amon-Ra, and the first doesn't scare me off that tier difference.
Higgins, Burks, and the 24 first for the 101.
Higgins and Burks and the 24 first.
I think I'd rather have the players, but I get that you're trying to get the 101, but
there's a little too much question in it with Burks, but I like Burks, so I'm okay with it. Yeah. I don't want to walk away able to lose if I'm trading the 101. I don't think Burks is going to, which is why I'd say yes, but
no, I'm getting the 101.
You have to ask.
Like, I'm getting the 101.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Like, I want Bijan on a team that actually can use him. The only 101s I have are the ones I've earned.
Yeah, I think that's a solid way to get it. Unfortunately.
I know a league where the 101 is not on your team that you won, and we could work out something.
Yeah,
but
don't do it. You'll just be complaining about not rostering Higgins for a year.
I
don't want to hear it.
Offer, and I was just like, I rejected it right away. And he's like, "'Cause Higgins." And I'm like, "'Cause Higgins."
It is known. 43 leagues cut down to 57, so this is a big deal for me. Julius Chestnut, 50%, Foster Maru at 40%, and Jalen Warren at 49%. Yep, that's normally the way it goes. I'm actually always happy when I see anyone over 60% that's actually worth anything. Except I'd probably get hit in a draft pick or something. Right now it's just Muth and Waddle. Paddy Mills, if 107 and 110 was a slam dunk, would Godwin and the 110 be fair for Olave? There's a lot of ifs in that sentence.
I'd rather do 107 and 110. I think Godwin.
Keep Godwin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't want to rip him off.
I really like Godwin. Godwin, I think, is very good. I don't care who the quarterback is going to be. I think Godwin will be fine because I think that's how good of a wide receiver he is. I'm fine sending Godwin in the 110 to go get Olave. And
if you're looking for value, yeah.
Yes. I was about to
because
say
Olave is not as good as Godwin, but you're going to get more years out of it. Yeah.
You might be sad when Godwin outscores Olave next season, but you're dropping down like a good probably 4-ish years, and Olave has so much more value right now. So if you can pull that off, I get it. And then you could honestly tear down from Olave and still work yourself out better than Godwin in the 110.
Yeah. I mean, Mike Evans and Cup are opportunities at that point. I mean, yeah, that's probably fair and still good. I like that you tried to find a trade that wasn't a ripoff, by the way, Patty. Most people are like, yes! And you're like, okay, well, is this more fair? Can I give up less? Or get less? That's a nice attitude. Recovering Ridley Truther. Zach, when will Dynasty Dummies
pods are apparently awake, so I'll either be right back or I need to go.
Yes, sir. Okay, I'm switching over to the official Dynasty Dummy shilling banner under us. Zach, when will the Dynasty Dummies pod start doing episodes again? Is that a non-point scoring season thing?
So 2 questions and 2 answers. The first answer is very soon. I would say within the next 2 weeks, we're going to start doing our rookie hootenannies, bringing those back in. It'll be at least me and J Mike. It may be the third man in, Kyle Lebrecht, although we're still in talks with that. But the plan is that, yes, it will be a non-point scoring season thing, but it will also be a thing in the regular season. We just got to get on the same page, but it should be the triumphant return. We will definitely be back with the rookie hootenanny and that sort of thing in the off season. So soon, recovering Ridley Truther. Very soon. Keep your eyes peeled. Your podcast apps ready to download because we'll be there within the next couple of weeks.
All right, I can switch to banner back now. Okay. Yeah, I've never been invited on that, just in case you are more, and you should be more interested in tape grinding. It's a very tape grinder friendly kind of a place.
Well, you're always invited for the rookie, when we do mock drafts and stuff, Peter.
Oh yeah, you say that publicly, but
I mean, I can go pull the last 3 years of 4 years of mock drafts, and you're there.
Above grief, evening, gents. I won't say which side I am. I just want thoughts. I'm cool with that. 14-team Superflex tight end premium Waddle, the 105 and the 201 for Chase. Ooh. And you get a 24 first with Chase. Yep. It's Chase.
I mean, it's close enough to make you go, oh, Waddle in a 105, but I still think it's Chase in a 105.
This is where I think actually this is a good idea. I don't know which side you're on, but I was just talking about, I thought about tearing down from Waddle. I actually think this is a better plan. Like Waddle's value's there, but it's not there. So why not just go up instead of down? I think that's a really good idea. That's the side I would like. Randy Wyatt. Don't know why I screamed your name. Like, sorry. How are you guys ranking the rookie QBs? I've only found 2 worth ranking. I don't do a lot of quarterback stuff though anymore, to be fair. But yeah, it's just Stroud, Young, and then I have some sort of order that I'm going to let the draft decide. I think my only real takeaway is I am not going to be I think Will Levis's upside is Kenny Pickett so far, and Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Unless, I mean, you never know the future, and I'm rooting for all of these players. But not it's Anthony Richardson, isn't it? Yeah. No. I will quote the famous Travis May. If they draft Anthony Richardson in the first round, it's going to set NFL analytics back 2 decades. Kick.
It'll be 6 weeks for me, Randy, before I have an answer on quarterbacks.
Fair. Are the second and third round rookies you guys like? Really have no idea, but yes, I do think they're all second and third round rookies I like. I know Zach likes 7 guys, or is digging Zay Flowers. He's going to go a lot higher than second, third round, I think. Yeah, he's like wide receiver 7 right now, and the draft cycle is just going to pump that high upside play. I've been wrong before. Who was it? The guy everyone was arguing as a wide receiver 1, and then he fell to the 7th round in the draft. A lot of tape guys liked him. Anyway, sometimes the draft surprises me, but there you go. Have you got anyone that you think is going to be a little undervalued? I've liked a few of these running backs, and I've just been working through them slowly. I think Devon A-Chain might drop because of size, according to Travis. Same with Deuce Vaughn. Both are solid. Sean Tucker's probably going to be a 2nd round pick, and is solid. Chase Brown is interesting.
Tucker, I think, could be
he's in the top 7.
Yeah, he could be a steal back there. I think again, Charbonnet, depending on what happens, a lot of people don't like him. You see, he's old and played 4 years and whatever. You mentioned Bigsby. Abanaconda is another player out of Pitt who does a little bit of everything. So there are going to be some running backs back there that I like. Honestly, there are going to be some wide receivers, I think.
Yeah. I think nothing, Karen.
It depends on how early your draft is. Right now, Keyshawn Butte, his draft stock has gone way down. He may end up being an early 2nd round pick, which is going to be a steal. I like Rashee Rice. I like Marvin Mims. You mentioned Josh Downs. All of those players are going to be right in that mid-2nd range. I think probably Downs will be a little bit higher. Maybe Flowers gets bumped up a little bit, but those guys are all good. If you're looking really late, I like Raheem Jarrett out of Maryland, it's a weird thing, but I really like his film. Tyjae Spears, who you're going to hear a ton about because he just is going off at the Senior Bowl, but he came in at 204, which he was listed at 189. So it's nice to see him as a running back be over 200 pounds. Means that he can take a little bit more banging. He's going to be a later guy, but an interesting player. He's ridiculously fast, quick, but not somebody I think is going to get a 3-down roll. But again, there are going to be some guys that are pretty good back in those 2nd, 3rd rounds.
Raheem Jarrett looks slightly interesting. I've got him flagged as someone to look at. I don't know much about him yet. And the only one you didn't mention who I know about, I'm starting to warm up to Jalen Hyatt a little bit. I've heard some of your thoughts. I'm guessing we're going to be a little different. I don't think we're going to be different on how much, where we would draft him.
Right,
but I think I came up on him a little bit this last week, just looking at in his best season. He had an above average. He had an ADOT over 12, but he was working in the slot 87% of the time, which is interesting in itself. But he was averaging 3.3 yards per route run with that level of slot usage. It's actually really interesting. You would expect that with his higher ADOT, but he did what he was meant to do there. You know what I mean? And that's really good.
But so here's the thing, Peter, is he is a downfield receiver who beats people with speed, who cannot play on the perimeter.
Right.
Which is the opposite of what the NFL does. It's
that's
just
a fair interpretation.
Yeah, it's just a weird. He's super fast and he gets by people, but
what I highlighted in my little video there that I have to tell you guys here about, so someone hears me. It's a really unique profile. That one I just described with that high high slot rate. Like we've had the fewest number of hits since 2015 with that, and it's probably what you're speaking to.
Yeah,
That's not the way the NFL does it. But if you find a player in that range, he has to be hitting at least the average, and Hyatt was doing it. And we found a few players, and also if you're going to get a player with a higher ADOT, they need to have that slot usage to have fantasy expectations, and he had that in his best year. So again, I don't think I'm going to disagree with where I would draft him, but like I thought he did pretty well in that.
But I also think you're going to see him go higher in a lot of rookie drafts because I think he'll probably be a first round NFL pick. Because he's fast, because he can take the top off the defense, because of all of these things that the NFL is so conscious of speed,
and they think that he can just move to the perimeter. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So,
all right, that's interesting. I keep going back and forth on Keyshawn. Actually, I can't decide if he's the player I like best, better than average, or worse, better, because I don't know what people think of him right now, especially after the last year he had, and now there's an off-season scandal that could make people skittish for fair reasons.
He's good.
And he actually looks pretty decent. Especially when you take into account those injuries. But yeah. So yeah, I don't know we answered your question, but there you go. That's what I was gonna say. There are a few players this year where I'm like, there's gonna be a few head scratches for me, which I'm more than happy to say. There are some things I just don't know. I think I'm pretty open about that. And I can value other people's opinions, but I'm not going to value their opinions over mine. And like Zach Evans this year is probably going to get taken pretty high as long as he gets something in the NFL draft. Right. And for me, he's just what the fuck would I know? But I do know he didn't get on the field enough. Right. So I will believe he's looking good on tape, but like I'm not drafting him over someone who got on the field and also I know did well because I'm addicted to my spreadsheet, I guess. And then there was, I think Quentin Johnston's going to get. There's just going to be a few players I will. Happy to believe other people's opinions, but they're going to go above players that I have a high opinion on, and that's going to push them down a little bit. And I think that's where these second and third rounders are going to come from. Andrew Carlson, 1 QB, 12 team PPR, start 8. Would you trade the 104 and the 24 third for Drake London? 104?
I would not.
I would for Wilson, I would for Lave, I would for Burks. It's right
I wouldn't even do it for Burks. As much as I like Burks, I wouldn't do it for Burks. I was going to say that.
I would do it for Burks purely because I really like Burks. I don't want to bet on my own likes and dislikes. And I think London did well enough to be this value, but I don't like him as much. So it's right on that line. I think you're solid either way. I would probably take the rookie, just depending on how the draft goes. But
so for context,
solid.
I don't think Burks or London did enough this past year for me to be really in on them, like as in on them as Olave and Wilson. And I have JSN and Jordan Addison both
above them.
Yeah,
that's kind of where I would. I'd say the same thing. Although I'd dither over it for longer, obviously. Bryson
I'm
Daggett,
a Hemingway guy. Sorry.
Agatha Christie was the king of that. Come on, Hemingway. Bryson Daggett, 12-team Superflex start 11. Have 4 picks in the second round and 5 in the third. After a startup, what are some good win now targets to go after? Or do I pick up a bunch of rookies? I mean, you can do either. It just depends on the trades you get offered and the trades people are willing to accept. And I would do whichever one were best based on that. Right now, just looking at DLF consensus players that stand out with that kind of value. If you trade the second round picks, I think running back wise, which I don't advocate, but it's James Robinson and Elijah Mitchell. I think you might be able to get a decent value on Jerry Jeudy if you add something to a second or a couple of seconds, since you mentioned him already. He's someone that DLF ranks are a lot higher on than current ADP. And it's not too far away. Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley's the default second round pick offer. Definitely send an offer on him. Rashad Bateman is probably too young to get that second round discount. but I'd try.
I think he's pretty
try.
close. Yeah,
I'd try.
Yep.
And those are the ones that stand out just off the top of my head. If you're looking for thirds, Michael Thomas and David Bell are the two my ranks like better than DLF consensus. Wide receiver. They're not win now, they're more value plays. I think if you did say win now targets, didn't you? Yeah, win now. I think Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp, Calvin Ridley. Those would be the three off the top of my head that, again, age discounts that are pretty close to that. Maybe if you add something to a second round pick, you could get something worked out depending on where the owner in your league is. Because I'm not taking a shot at those deeper running backs at this time. But for a second round pick, I don't mind trying some of them. Nah, go for the wide receivers for now. You got anyone else? I tried to vamp as long as I could.
Oh no, I think you hit basically the players that we've been talking about.
Evan Ingram, tight end, because tight end's an interesting position to target for a little bit more upside for a win now team. And Ingram's getting up there. He's 28. Yep. He's ranked overall, by DLF consensus, he's ranked as the 14th tight end. I have him as the 9th, which is not a lot of difference, but it's enough that it means even in leagues where people are pretty sharp, because I'm using the consensus ranks of actual DLF writers and staff, they might be willing to go for a second. And there's more points in Evan Ingram than probably most second-round picks.
What do you think about throwing, either a second or a third at Mecole Hardman? I know that's way off brand, but again, if you're looking to improve your team, if you're looking to throw, a wide receiver 3 or 4, yeah.
He actually turns up in my ranks just below Bell and just below Thomas. That's a really good. Yeah, I like that one too. So, where do you think he plays? Do you have any inkling, or you think he's staying on the Chiefs? I know that's a question.
I mean,
don't care.
I don't know. Yeah.
Great. Andrew A. Zach, I did see that on Zero Line. Broke record here. Hyatt has a 6.5 highest this year for wide receivers, tied with his top 2 wide receiver last year.
So Andrew, the thing you have to understand about what Zierlein's doing as opposed to what Peter and I are doing is Lance Zierlein is scouting for the NFL. Like that's his job, is to look at players and how they'll translate and what they'll do for an NFL team. What Peter and I are doing, and what, depending on who you're listening to, what fantasy analysts are doing, what they should be doing, is analyzing for fantasy football. So while Hyatt is probably going to be drafted highly, and I've already said this, I think he will, he's going to struggle to score fantasy points on a consistent basis based on the role he will probably have. There are many players that I think are better bets for fantasy, and also I think Marvin Mims is going to be what you're hoping Jalen Hyatt is going to be for a far less price tag than you'll have to spend to acquire Jalen Hyatt in your rookie drafts. I like Marvin Mims. I like what he does, and I think he does what Hyatt does, but better than what Hyatt does.
Yeah, I think that NFL to fantasy is a good point, and I wish I knew Ted Ginn's numbers. But that's the guy that's who he could be.
Yeah.
And Ted Ginn had a great NFL career, and he sucked for your fantasy team 9 times out of 10.
Right. He had one year.
He had high draft pick and high dynasty value for a minute. Played forever. Super Bowl winning team at one point, I believe. But again, I have warmed up to him a lot, but that's not, again, Zero Line. The other thing I know from osmosis from you guys, the other thing he does apparently as part of his content processes leak is make spurious comparisons to make the point he wants to make using groups that do not matter, which is fine. It's a communication tool much more so than a process tool. Senior Long Johnson, 12 team 1 QB, start 9 PPR, lost in the finals. Running back room is Ken. We have to. Oh, you're not. DLF, but on DLF he's still listed as Kenneth, and it actually kind of irks me. He's made it pretty clear
that he wants to be
he
called
does
Ken.
not like that, and that just seems like a little. Come on, guys. But anyway, Ken Williams, Ken Walker, ETN, Zeke Pollard, have Josh Allen, nice, Andrews, nice, Pitts, nice, Justin Jefferson, okay, just showing off at this point, Chase Wilson. How do I play my running back room this offseason? No, I like it. Trade them if value. Essentially, what I'd be trying to do, because you've got a great running back room. If you were starting a roster next week, I expect you win, and the week after that, and the week after that. But it's not. You don't have needs in general. Ken Walker and ETN will probably never be more valued than they are right now, but they will be well valued, I expect, for a couple years. So it's not like it's a rush, but you've got a window here, especially before the season starts again, and we have some more top 12 running backs people are maybe a little bit more excited about after seeing another year, to try and explore trades. So my first thought, because it's 2023, is can I add the 110 to Ken Walker and get the 101? Can I get JT plus another first-round pick? Where are they at on JT? Where are they at on Breece Hall? Probably not, right? Because those are insane. You would love to get those trades, maybe. In which case, you keep rostering those running backs. We all say trade running backs, and I'm just trying to alliterate what that means, because I have given advice before, then seen some of the trades that come from it, and I'm like, not like that. Jeez. Like we were talking about trading for Sam Howell last week, and then I saw some trades on my timeline. I was like, God, I hope they didn't do that because of what I said. Like we were talking about Sam Howell, because you liked him as above average, deeper quarterback prospect. We're talking about trying to get the next Brock Purdy. And not that we hit them very often, but someone that we can maybe highlight with Sam Howell, who might have a stretch, like he's above average. That QB room's a little questionable. We don't know what injuries happen. And Kirk Cousins came from a place like that, to be fair. So I'd rather take that shot than throwing value at Brock Purdy. And then I saw some trades for Sam Howell where I was like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people really do like Sam Howell too much. So that's why I'm trying to spell it out to you. Not that you wouldn't understand, but like try and trade Ken Walker and ETN for those type of Najee Harris is a really good one because everyone kind of hates Najee Harris, even though he's normally ranked around them, and should be. So again, we're trying to replace the draft, not replace the players that we like and are good. And because you can't redraft, you're trying to get other good players plus more value, or players that you think have a higher upside. That's more player evaluation. Outside of JT, CMC, Barkley, all have.
I was going to say with Ken
not
Walker,
many current running backs.
With Ken Walker, I'm looking at seeing if the CMC owner will do that, because I think that's
a good one.
Like they're back to back in ADP right now. CMC's a little older. Yeah, they got some nebulousness at quarterback. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff going on with that. And then with ETN, you mentioned Breece Hall, but that's a player that I'm looking at to move ETN for. As great as ETN played, I think Breece Hall is the 3 down back, the guy that everyone is hoping that Walker and ETN both will be. I don't know that you're getting much for Zeke. Pollard may be an interesting one, where I know you mentioned Damian Harris. No, you didn't mention Damian Harris. Najee Harris, yeah. And so like that's a potential get into that. Or if you can add Pollard in the 210 and get up into like the 107, 106, 107, maybe you can make some hay that way. So
it all depends where your league's or the players in your league's biases are. That's what I'm essentially trying to find out. Like if you're a high T league that just loves running backs, you're probably going to get a lot for Ken Walker and Zeke and Pollard. But if they're more progressive struggle, more nerdy little progressive struggle, you're probably going to get nothing for Zeke, and unless you're adding a second and try and get slightly higher first. Or trying to get up in the second round, add your second to Zeke and try and get an early second in draft so you know who you're going to take. Like we were talking about with other older running backs, you can maybe make those kind of plays. But if your league is still all in on Zeke because, Zeke's good and is going to score points and they're like running backs, you adjust where your league's at as well, and you try and find where those windows are to replace a draft, replace value while still getting players you like. We probably should speed up. I realize we've answered hardly anything, and it's like 10 to midnight. Botsy, do you think the 102 and 103 gets Burrow? Both of them together? No, not after.
No.
He's better than Patrick Mahomes talk. I'd try it. By all means, send it, but probably not. Andrew, I made a very big mistake last year, missing out on Garrett Wilson, who fell to the 110. Oh, that's painful. I've done that. Or a player you just didn't like above average fell, and you know you should probably draft him, but you didn't. That sucks. Because of his landing spot. Never again. Lesson learned. Yeah, I really think the best process is not to blame landing spot for the opposite direction as well. Like I did it for Corey Davis, and then AJ Brown made me eat my lunch, and I was like, okay. And that's the last time I needed to learn that lesson. Like, it sucks, but a good player is going to be good. Players getting good.
Yeah,
that's something. Caleb, sorry it took so long. Thanks for the $20. I'm sure someone will enjoy that. Part 1 of 2. I have a 16-team Superflex IDP league. I can't speak to IDP much, but I'll try. Start 22. I have 38 picks between 23 and 24. 10 firsts, 5 seconds, 6 thirds, and a tons of 4s and 8s. 8th round picks. IDP leagues, man. I have the 101. Probably same in 2024. Thoughts on draft strategy? Draft the best player. Honestly, that's IDP or not. Draft the player you think is going to be better in your format for fantasy. And if you're uncertain, trade for value is always an option. But you don't plan your draft. You draft the best players. You try to make good trades as you can to improve your roster, like we've been talking about on stream. But I don't have an overarching strategy for drafts outside of that, especially rookie drafts. Startup drafts are a little different. You think of anything?
I mean, I again, this is not the place to come to get IDP advice. I don't think any of us.
I recommend Tom Kislenberry from DLF. He knows more about IDP statistics than I will ever learn because I just don't want to.
But I will say that when Russ has a draft like this where he's got first round picks like that, he says he usually drafts about half and trades half. To me, it's where you can get value. You know, if I'm trading those picks, I'm going to trade them into players that I think are already proven production and let somebody else dream on those picks. You may be able to get that King's ransom for Bijan Robinson at the 101. Or whoever the IDP equivalent of that is. I don't know if there is one.
It depends. Running backs, the IDP leagues I tried to play in many years ago, the best IDP scorers would be like Bijan Robinson type running backs, but there's relatively few of them, so they tend to be over prioritized to those top 5 running backs.
So like I would probably, unless I got a haul, I would make that pick, and then try to figure out what else I needed and what I could get with those picks. But there's really a solid in just straight non-IDP Superflex. There's really a solid 7 players up at the top that, like, I'm not going to be disappointed if I make any of those picks.
The other thing, I had a question like this in my DMs a week ago or so. Basically, how do I decide whether to move up or move down within a draft? And that comes down to make your own rankings. You can take mine. You can take ADP if you don't want to go to that effort. I insist ADP is a fine synonym. Just follow your favorite analyst, whoever they're really highlighting to be cautious or bullish on. Then do that too. Adjust ADP if you don't just want to do it that way. That's honestly solid. But after that, you identify tiers. Like what Zach's saying, he's got 7 players. There's probably a tier breaking inside there as well.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's how you decide whether a trade's worth it, whether you want to move down or up. Because ideally, you want to get the last player in a tier, strategy-wise. But in rookie drafts, and this is really why I say I don't strategize in rookie drafts, I tend to go the opposite way because there's just a higher bust risk with unknown rookies. Just because you can have the best prospect in the world who struggles or just gets injured, and that's all she wrote. Yep. Which is true for NFL players as well, to be fair. And we could never even see their value bump up from having one good season because of injury. Jameson Williams right now is maintaining, but Anyway, so identify those tiers is a good way to start thinking about it. But then I ultimately, especially in rookie drafts, I want to highlight who I want. Last year it was just Breece Hall. I had trouble separating everyone else out. And even though everyone else turned out to be a great pick, if I managed to go up and get the guy I wanted in the next tier, that's the way I play rookie draft. So instead of trying to get the last player in my tier, I try to go up from the tier below to get the player I want in the higher tier. So that's where I start adding my pick to a player to jump up into that next tier and get the player I want. So and in that way, I don't I don't end up with JJ Arcega-Whiteside, who is at the bottom of a fairly slim tier, where I like the players who did better more than him, but I didn't separate JJ Arcega-Whiteside out enough, and I ended up with him instead of the good players. And that sucked because I got the ranking wrong, but because I left it to tiers, I struggled. So I do identify those tiers. With rookie drafts, I recommend trying to trade up into tiers instead of trying to trade to the back of a tier, if that makes sense. Hopefully. How many picks do I actually make? I think Russ's rough rule, and it's a rough guide here that Zach just mentioned. Try for half, but it's really about the trades you get offered, the trades you can get accepted. You can make all of them if that's the way it runs. That's very league sensitive and what they're willing to do.
16 teams super flex too.
Yeah,
those quarterbacks, you should be able to get a haul for those quarterbacks. So if you're,
think about Lawrence.
If you're set at that position, you ought to be able to get a haul for those picks. So
yeah. Sorry. Thanks for being patient, Caleb. Hope that helped. Mystical Child official YouTube. Okay. Hey guys, love the show. I appreciate that. My league mates are starting a new league. That's awesome. 12-team Superflex punter premium league. Okay. We get a point per punt. What round should I look to draft? I've never looked at punt. Well, actually, I think I did for one Scott Fishbowl. Yeah, you're just gonna have to find where their VORP fits into the rest of the league and fit them in. I'm guessing, and just based on that scant Scott Fishbowl research with First Dance I did a while ago, I'm guessing you're not drafting a punter till at least double-digit rounds. There might be a couple that hit that 7th to 10th, but they're going to be less. I don't even know that about punters. I don't know how quickly they change careers or change career cycles, so it's a little hard. But I'm going to guess don't overvalue it. It's probably the safest play there.
So the Broncos led the NFL this past year with 96 punts.
I'm guessing that's not too sticky with the way offenses try to change every year as well.
Right. And the Bills had the fewest with 46. So you've got a 50 punt spread there.
Gap.
I mean, yeah. Just throwing that.
Apparently draft punters from worse teams.
Well, that's that's the plan. The Jets, I think, would be a good place to punt.
There's probably a big. I hate these fourth down core of the punter truthers. Damn it! I wish they'd punt more. Also, should I target punters? Yeah, on worse teams. Yeah. Ideally, the trouble with that is we're not very good at predicting the good and bad teams, but by and large, from my offensive line research, I know that the top 5 and bottom 5 tend to be more sticky than those middle teams switch around a lot. Then again, look what Buffalo Bills are now from just a couple years ago. That completely reversed. That can't happen. JB, 12-team, 1 QB, PPR, no tight end premium, start 8, 1.5, and Pitts for the 101. Is that a good Pitts trade? I think that might be a good Pitts trade.
No premium. Yeah, no premium. I'd probably do that.
Yeah.
One quarterback, no premium. So the 105 is. Yeah. No, I think I'd do that. I'd rather have the 101. It's close, but I'd rather have the 101.
Me too. Kicks traded Devontae Adams 2 late seconds for Trevor Lawrence, Judy, Hollywood, Akers, and a 24 first. Jeez. Insane value. Yeah, and that stretches the definition of the word value. That's so good. Kevin, he's talking to Kicks, so I'm going to pass up. ZT12, I got here late, so sorry. You're good, man. You can turn up whenever you want. That's like weird for you, not the opposite way around, but appreciate you, man. Sorry if you already touched on this, but did any of the coaching changes, HC or OC, significantly change your opinion of any players? I track HC and OC stuff a bit in my database. I don't affect it a lot, except for the extremes. There are some, like you were just saying about Sean Payton, he has some extreme usages. Bill Belichick does as well.
Well, and Bill O'Brien back to the Patriots. So the Patriots have an offensive coordinator for next year, which should, be nice since they didn't last year.
Would you say that's better for Ramondre, for instance? Because one of the usages about the running back seems to be so much Bill.
Well, I think it will be better for that entire offense. I think that the idea behind bringing Bill O'Brien back in is Bill O'Brien kind of engineered that offense when Brady was first starting, and so it's not the McDaniels offense where it had gone beyond, but a much better. A much easier offense on the quarterback than what they ran this past year, which was basically.
You're trying to say they want to make Mac Jones early Brady instead of trying to make him perform like late Brady, who no one.
Well, this past year, and I know you don't watch the games, but like I'm up in Maine, and so I watch the Patriots fairly often, and I don't remember a team in New England as undisciplined on offense. Seeing the number of timeouts and the number of delay of game because the play didn't come in and get construed to the players and up to the line. Like, I've never seen a Patriots team in the past, since Rod Rust was here, so in the past 25 years, be that undisciplined and be that poor at conveying what the coaches want, which I don't think the coaches always knew what they wanted, to the quarterback, to the rest of the team, and then executing. It was really bad. And so I think that those two, the Bill O'Brien back in New England gives me a little more hope for that offense, which was pretty destitute aside from Ramondre Stevenson, and also the Denver with Sean Payton, which should be fun.
Mm-hmm. Frank, you guys are the best. Thank you, Frank.
Appreciate you, Frank.
Seriously. What picks needed to be added to the 111 and the 201 for the 106 in a 1 QB league? I think you're outside the tier there. Well, it's inside the top 7.
I'd try that. 106 and a 1 quarterback, though. So I don't think you're too far off there. I don't know who you're going to end up moving up to get that's my question. Because I think you're outside. You're in like the lightning round where you're like Keyshawn Butte, Rashee Rice, a couple of the running backs. Like who are you?
Yeah, it's going to be Butte.
And are you going to be better off sticking with the 111 and 201 and just taking who's there?
It's close enough. All you need is someone to like Quentin Johnson in the top 6, and currently he'd be close, but he's closer to 106 or 104 for me. And suddenly you grab someone. So I would try this. Yeah, I think Zach's right. That's a good first offer, at least. I would go as high as adding another second because I don't care. If that's the kind of thing that they want.
Like I don't know if I want to add another second to move up to the 106 because I don't know that I'm gaining anything to move up to the 106 in a 1 quarterback.
Maybe. I kind of like betting on I do think there are some players this year that are just they look fine, they look good, going to do stuff. But again, Quentin Johnson added to that top 6, and suddenly someone in your top 5 is available at that 106, and there's gonna be someone who likes.
He's in my top 5 anyway. So yeah.
All right, Jalen Hyatt. There you go. Now
And then I get Keyshawn Butte or Johnson.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not as confident in
Those
again,
guys
there's
is
a tier
definite.
for me, like Butte, Rashi Rice, Marvin Mims, Zay Flowers, Josh Downs. Those 5, whatever.
Yeah. Randall traded Saquon for Najee, Jameson Williams, and a 23 109, 206 210, and a 24 second. I hate trading Saquon, but I think you did it well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
it's a
mind that.
package of lessons. The fact you got Najee in it sells it for me. I think there's a decent distance between those two things, but you've got a pick, and Jameson Williams could definitely bump his. I mean, his value is still pretty solid right now. You could trade him right now pretty well. And then you got some maybe a boats, which could work out. So I think it's solid. Sean, would you trade the 111 for a playoff team's 24 first? Yes. That's about what we said, right? 108 to 112. Trade it for a first in the future. That's what I'm going off.
Yeah, but the one negative is they're a playoff team, and so, but who knows? I mean,
you don't know about next year.
Yep.
And you should probably make a play like that too, based on your roster. It's not like you don't have good players, but it's definitely a team that's going to need an influx of new players at some point. So you may as well start pushing, try to get more value.
This is one where I would say the 111 and one of my like tier down players that they might be interested in who scores points, and say for your 24 second and 25 first.
Yeah, go for the 25 class. Yeah, I like that idea.
Well, so you
add
get
even more
the 25 class, but also by that time, Keenan Allen is going to be 33 or 4. Dalvin Cook is going to be 29, 30.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry's going to, and so
start moving the picks you have for more picks in the future because your team's going to need more.
And that's what I like to do when I identify a class is I trade into the second round of the class ahead and the first round of the class that I'm actually trying to get into 2 years out. And I'll trade 2 things that are worth seconds to get a second and a first.
Solid. So, Gavin, welcome back. Maybe it's just half PPR because in my half PPR, Walker 112, Swift 111.
Yeah, it is half PPR because in straight PPR, I think Swift was like 13.7 and Walker was like 13.4, 13.2. I'd have to look, but I can look. But
you pedants and your arguments. Conversation. I don't want to listen in. Sorry. I don't want to be rude and listen in, to be clear. Not a lot of Walker winning sided trades. Yeah, that's the thing. But there also haven't been trades on him since October, which kind of tells you his value's gotten too hard to trade. But you can still. Well, again, what's the trade? If you can't get a decent trade for his value, then you, like I said, you keep Walker. But right now, where he's valued, you should get a lot more than that.
People didn't want to trade him also because he was scoring points. And so if you've got a young guy scoring points and your team is good, you're not trading him. So,
which is, for me, it highlights that there's a window right now you should try. Because those trades went, but that was all the way back before he started his season. Then suddenly now they're like, I don't know why I had to mime that, but yeah. And if you don't, it's fine. But that's our point and only point. Kevin, if you felt last year was so flat because of Brees,
after Brees,
after Brees, should you have moved back for a 22nd first plus instead of moving to 2025?
I don't think so. In hindsight, maybe, but I don't.
Hindsight's great. Yeah,
it wasn't flat in terms of we thought everyone was good. It was flat in terms of we know that players. That somebody's
Wilson,
going to be good.
Like Olave, we're pretty high on Burks, pretty high on Jameson Williams. We had Burks ahead of them all, but it was really hard to kind of separate them out. Yeah. And honestly, and London was in there too. And honestly, the truth. It was flat because they all did pretty decent. I mean, we can argue about London Burks all you want, but I think they did pretty decent relative to other rookies anyway. But yeah, I mean, hindsight's great. I don't want to try and game plan it back. What I do know, there are some classes that are flat, and it just turns out they're flat because most of them miss, and there's some classes that are flat, like 2022, where they're all pretty good. In fact, 2 of them are great. And I like classes where they're clear separators, and it's not that JSN and Addison are Chase and Jefferson, but like they're clearly that much different than the rest of their class to me. Right. And Downs is kind of up there too. I know you don't like him quite that much,
fine.
But and that to me makes the draft a lot simpler. It means I know what I want to do. It knows who I want to go and target. And just from a prospecting point of view, I guess that's why it's not so much value moves I'm going to make in Dynasty. Trip Cram, pretty much no one stayed because of NIL.
Right.
The only person I know of note that went back was Korn.
That was, he got hurt.
Yeah. Andrew A, remember in 2021, Talking Heads pumping up to 22, and now it's 2023. I agree with Zach. QBs are the most difficult to pick. Go get your guy. Yeah, and I will say 2022 turned out to be pretty great. And 2023 is going to have some great players in it. And all classes have great players in, and that's why I like
he's talking quarterback,
a little easier to separate. But yeah, they do come in cycles like this, I think. I will say the minute we got Patrick Mahomes and Herbert and Hurts, I started to feel like we're getting too greedy. How many great quarterbacks do we have in any given era? And like we've got more than enough. Like we're in the heyday, like back in Peyton Manning and Tom Brady era. That's how many we've got right now. So continually predict even more. But there are still good players. Like in that era, we had Luck turn up, we had Griffin turn up for that first year, and then injuries. So yeah. It's I just step back from quarterback and take the good ones. Check out the running back from Tulane.
See, that's Tyjae Spear, who I said was going to get the big bump from the Senior Bowl. Like, I don't think he's not any better today than he was yesterday.
I just added him because someone mentioned that they're on Player Profiler and they're not in the database, and I just added Spears. And the first thing I'll let you all know, I had to readjust some metrics. He's a fucking halfback. He's Player Profiler listing him as a running back, and I guess he's going to be for the NFL because so Sports Football Reference, but PFF lists him as a halfback, which I've now separated out because if you use halfback stats, everything tanks and nothing is predictive because halfbacks tend to be so fucking terrible. But he did kind of halfbacks and fullbacks. Yeah, no, Spears was listed as the HB halfback.
Yeah, that's just a regular running back.
Fullback.
Fullback is the.
Oh, I might be reversing them. Sorry, but yeah, he was listed as the other one, the one that I have to separate out from the running back designation in the NFL. But yeah, actually, he probably deserves a different distinction because he did a little bit better than most halfbacks. I haven't looked him over, but I did add him, and it'll be in the next update. But
he is very, very quick.
Oh, we like quick, right? Quick,
yeah.
Quick.
I mean, yeah. He's terrible blocker.
Oof. But 12-team Superflex start 11. I have Wilson, JT, Brees, JJ, CD, Ayuk. This is his team. The 105 to 111. And what moves should I make? Again, the broad question. We're happy for them, but we can't really spend as much time on them as I like to. But other than the general things we said, let's see. I like Ayuk a lot about where his value is right now. But he's a wide receiver, like you could tear him up a little bit. That 111 on Ayuk, does it get you Amon-Ra? That's a thought. JT and Brees both seem like... I know we say trade running backs, but I'm trading for Brees more. And I have a hard time not ranking JT the running back one right now. Like, it's Bijan Robinson, but he's not available in the pool. And after that, it's probably JT. To me, it's still, so I don't know. I trade him for a lot.
To me, it's still like McCaffrey.
Oh, well, yeah,
Barkley,
sorry. Dynasty value and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's a back and forth with my rankings. I don't know what to do with my rankings. Like, I want to make it clear I want CMC and Barkley, but I don't want to put them above my ranks in case people use them to draft, in which case you should take the younger guys and trade for them, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But anyway. I don't see a lot of weaknesses outside of that. You could try and tear up Ayuk. You could maybe try and go get Kelsey. That's always an option right now. Where your team's so strong, you can start making plays like that. Wilson, I don't see you as a run quarterback in the superflex. Carr and Wilson. Yeah, that's probably the first place I'd start.
Yeah.
If that's Russell Wilson, and you just keep him at this point. But if I can add, I don't know, like we were saying before, the 105 to Carr and try and get Dak, try and get Kyler, try and get Lamar, whoever your favorite highest player is you think might be discounted for age or injury or something that you don't feel as strongly about as whoever else in your league is rostering them. That's probably the first move I make. Then I start thinking about trading for Kelsey or tearing up Ayuk, depending on what I have left. After I try and tear up my quarterback position in a super flex, it's like you don't have a lot of weaknesses, so you just try and improve at quarterback and improve at tight end, or make the picks and be pretty happy because you're awesome at drafting rookies, so you'd be good. Open 24 hours, full PPR, tight end premium. Points per carry, 0.25 points per carry. Would you trade Pacheco? Yes. And Dubs? Yes. For Hopkins? Ooh. Juwan Johnson is the type of tight end play I'm not going to make. And Hopkins, I think he can get better. I think if you add a second to Pacheco, you can start talking some serious players that you can add to your plethora of value and tear up with and move into rookie picks. And Pacheco is definitely someone I'd be interested in doing that with, but Hopkins and Juwan Johnson isn't it. Also, Mike Evans or Hopkins? Mike Evans. I'm pretty sure, there's probably an extra year on value with Mike Evans versus Hopkins. I know it's close.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with Hopkins too. But
I know, I want to be team old guy wide receiver, but he's one of the ones that value's dropped even further than Evans because of injury as well as age. So I think I prefer Evans.
No, so I still want
at the
Hopkins,
same value. At the same value.
Yeah, I mean, if they're even, I still want Hopkins. Okay. I don't know if they are even. I'd have to look, but
no, Evans is ranked higher than Hopkins by a decent margin. Drafted. Hopkins. Oh, that's right. I'm on the rookie ranks. That's why. But yeah, anyway. Either of those are safe place, but I feel you can do more. I think you can get some younger players if you add a second Pacheco and Dubs.
I'd rather try to get Cooper Kupp. Yeah. In that range, but
Hopkins is wide receiver 37. Evans is wide receiver 32. It's actually not too far away, but he is high. Mogrim Warlock. This is an awesome name. Swift goes from being worth roughly 1 times 1 year.
So the 10 whatever to the 10. Like, what does he change?
He's still pretty high right now. I don't think it changes a lot. He shouldn't. Like, Jamal Williams is going to Jamal Williams. He's running back 9 right now. If that's with a discount, then that's even maybe too high. Do you think it would catch a wind of value? Like there'll be, Jamal Williams is gone. He's going to be great. And that might be a window to trade.
There's so many people hoping, but I don't think it actually, like, if that happens, then I would trade him.
I think if you're the guy rostering him, you're the one who cares about that. Yeah. That's where my head's at.
So the problem with this class, though, is Jahmyr Gibbs is DeAndre Swift. Like, he's the player that everyone is going to hope on. They want him to be the guy who gets all the carries, and he's going to be really reliant on pass catching and is not going to be a between the tackles player, in my estimation. So even if you trade,
I trade to answer the XY question. I think right now Swift for me will be worth like the 107. Seems pretty low, but yeah, the 107 because you got 2 quarterbacks in the super league. And if he went above that, I would trade him.
Yeah.
So
and to me, he's probably 106 because I think I would
Um,
rather have him than Gibbs.
Oh, okay.
Even though, well, I mean, I guess maybe not. It depends on where Gibbs lands and if he's got a role.
That's fair.
So that's going to be a funky thing. But I would rather have the 2 wide receivers for sure and the 2 quarterbacks for sure.
And there's one running back, and then
And
I think I'd rather
Bijan.
have Gibbs.
Then
Bijan,
Swift.
wide receiver,
Yeah.
quarterback, Gibbs. I would take Gibbs, so that puts him at 7. And you were
Yep,
saying
that's fair. Yep.
all right. As for what if he goes above that, I would trade him for that. So whatever that Y is, whether it affects it, it's not about. Ultimately, this is a frustrating part about trying to give advice about your league and your league and your league. Some have IDP and some have running back truthers and some have me or some have Dynasty Outhouse. It's very different depending on where you play. But generically, if I'm rostering Swift in my league, and he goes above the 107, I want to trade him for the 106, 105, whatever it goes to. So whatever that Y is dependent on your league more than what happens in ADP and everything else. Pete Alfonso, sorry, I mucked that up. Hey, gents, just wanted to say thanks for the feedback and advice on my Dynasty at the beginning of the show. Oh, hey, Pete. I appreciate it. It is a best ball league. I did forget to mention that. So I don't do starts, sits. I do remember you saying that automatically plugs in your best player. Yeah, I play in some best balls. With that in mind, it's interesting. I did see a question about how to. Maybe we should write more about how to play Dynasty in best ball. I don't have a lot of initial thoughts on it. Outside of wide receivers, the depth of wide receiver becomes a little bit more value. Because the thing about running backs is you know more when and when not to play them. And wide receivers there's a dearth of wide receivers who put up weekly numbers but don't put up seasonal numbers. So they're less replaceable than you think. But if you've got a best ball league, you can try and take advantage of that. The other thing I'd check out is return yardage. If you've got any scoring for that can be really useful in a best ball league because you don't have to guess when return yardage is going to play a part. But you will get Cordell Patterson's just going off for games based on return yardage and sometimes return touchdown, which is worth a bunch. But yeah, Mac Jones and does that change your opinion? No. No, I'm pretty certain who I'd keep and who I'd hold on that. Joe, been a minute. Nice to see you.
I mean, it might change your opinion of Mac Jones. I don't think it changed my opinion of Skylar Thompson, but
no, I mean, I'm not dropping Mac Jones.
Yeah.
So watch out for Oregon State tight end. Do I have that guy? Luke Musgrave. Yeah, he's actually one of the ones who scores fairly high. I haven't dug into tight end much at all. I haven't dug into nearly enough things. That's my answer on everything. All right. Did I write anything on him? I did not. I actually took him out the pool of players to look at. Why did I do that? Played 3 years. He didn't play a single year with more than my volume thresholds. That sucks. Sorry, Zach. I know I'm dragging the stream out at this point. Yeah, he's got 1 year where he played more than, what do I have it set at right now? 8 games, and he got 2.3 opportunities per game in that year. Like, that's going to be a tough evaluation for someone like me. The Sean Tucker disrespect. I thought we said good things about Sean Tucker.
I think we did.
Okay. What are you guys' top 5 running backs? It's in a rough order right now, but Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs and Tank Bigsby, Zach Charbonnet, and then Devin Arcane. He's the first one in my 3rd tier.
Yes,
A-Chain.
I got
That's how you say it.
Bijan, Gibbs, Charbonnet, A-Chain, and then pick your poison. It's Kendre Miller, Sean Tucker, Bigsby are all like right there. So
I haven't looked. I don't think I've looked. I did look at Kendre Miller. I didn't like him nearly that much.
No, he's a runner. He's a runner, not a pass catcher, but good runner.
Not a catcher.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually have Deuce Vaughn, Sean Tucker, Chase Brown, and then my ranks get really iffy, and I've just got 3 players stuffed in tier 4 to look at closer, and that's why. Kendall Milton is. Wheeze, evening all. Hope you are well. Appreciate it, buddy. You
Joe?
too.
Yeah.
Rokon Johnson has a pretty good receiving EPA, Peter. Yeah, I actually just added him, and the two I added because I found their date of birth, so Rashawn Johnson and Tajay Spears. But I literally just added them. I don't know yet.
Roshan Johnson is my next watch. Like literally right here, got them all written down. I got him and Chase Brown are my next two. So
I think he was the one listed as not the halfback, as well. Wow, he scored 11.7 points per game, set 9.7 points per game, 8.9 points per game in the last 2 years. He was not putting up the points.
Who's that? Roshan Johnson?
Yeah, pretty good elusive ratings.
Well, so here's the thing, though. If you're running behind Bijan Robinson,
he's a Miles Sanders type. All right.
Yeah. Well, no, like on the same team coming out the same year. Not even Miles Sanders. It was as if Miles Sanders never had the year.
He didn't get that
Saquon.
year.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, his elusiveness ratings look pretty high, but that's on a small sample. I don't know why I'm trying to break this down live. I'm never going to be able to. Average over 4 yards after contact the last 3 years. That's actually pretty good, even on smaller sample. FF Lefty. Wheeze Joe, last name first. It's a regular who's who of the Dynasty grind. You love to see it. Yeah, true. It's nice of you all to turn back up. I was feeling like you had abandoned us, to be honest, but whatever. No, I'm kidding. I have heard of a vision. That's a good Zach quote. Zach Charbonnet is underrated. Right now, it's kind of not, though. Everyone seems to like him. But let's hope, right?
So I think it's been weird, Peter. I've heard a lot of fantasy football people be like, and then you hear this little trickle of NFL, like maybe he's going to get, second round capital. So it'll be interesting to see where I was not.
That's fair. He's been ranked under Sean Tucker, for example.
Yeah, have him
over Sean Tucker.
I was not expecting to like Charbonnet as much as I did because I watched him last year, expecting him to come out, and he was fine. I had him below Walker. Like he was okay. I went back and watched him again this year, and the improvements that he made to his game this year. I rewatched all the games that I had watched coming into last year, just because I wanted to keep myself honest, and it's virtually the same, like the same notes, the same everything, and which I think is good. I mean, because that means my process is pretty consistent. But then watching the games that he played this year, like he added a whole bunch of, extra to his game. I was like, wow, like I like Zach Charbonnet. I was not expecting to be in. So
that's right. Open 24 hours says go Birds. Damn right, go Birds. I'm always Team Snail though. Joe, Tank Bigsby and Evans might be trapped.
I think Evans is a trap. And I'm kind of on the fence about
Zach
Bigsby.
Evans.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got nothing to even rank. Sure, if you say so, but I don't like him. Tank. His name is Tank, though. That's gonna
good pass catcher.
Okay. The name Tank really weighs on me. Just interrupting someone else's comment. Tyler Spears. Yeah, I've added him. I'll take a look. Traded. Thanks to my Discord for pointing those two out, by the way, because I don't know who to add if someone doesn't tell me. The SSFFL channel. Hey, cool. A whole channel devoted to SSFFL. Traded Stevenson, the 107, the 108, and Russ Wilson for CeeDee Lamb, Dak, and a 205. How did I do?
Yep.
Spectacular. Absolutely spectacular.
Yep.
Wheeze, my favorite thing is side-by-side Pickett and Zach Wilson rookie stats. It's a Spider-Man meme.
But with very tiny hands. A Spider-Man meme, but tiny hands. Yeah.
That's Part 2, still have the 102. With Mahomes and Dak as QBs, I can either target Stroud or Young or Gibbs. I've got Monty, Eckler, and Connor as running backs. Don't know which part of that question to get to first. Let's see. I have Stroud over Young, but they're in the same tier. I don't have a strong preference.
I think it's probably Young over Stroud, but I haven't watched enough to be. But
that's fair. He's more likely to get draft capital. They're both gonna.
Yeah,
but anyway, I would trade Monty, Eckler, and Connor for whatever the value is at this point. If I can use it to upgrade somewhere else, then I would do that.
Yeah, I don't think there's not much value there. I really don't. Like, you're not going to get much for any of the three of them. I'd probably hang on to Eckler for what you can get for him, and then hope you can. Yeah.
Jack Rowe, thoughts on trying to get extra value from Purdy by shipping to the Lance owner? I mean, I don't mind that. You've got to consider someone else's team, and that is an aspect that might weigh for them. But I mean, you can't guarantee on it.
It would have been better before Purdy tore his on the collateral.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately. Got to find them windows. Dynasty 1 QB, half-point PPR, team weaknesses. What is his team weaknesses? He's got Hurts, Lawrence, Danny's weakness. Swift, Sanders. No, you're fine.
Kamara.
You have No, you don't.
Akers, not Kamara. Akers.
Yeah. Lamb, Waddle, Metcalf. Your wide receivers are great. And some depth with Zard and Slayton that you probably shouldn't have held on to this long. Tight ends actually pretty good. Your running backs, you've got a depth of running backs who are going to drop in value until they're needed to play games here. And I would trade on that if it's still available. Like everyone except Swift, really. Sanders, Akers, Algier, those are players you add things to, you try and tear up with. Mitchell's worth holding on to, just because I don't think he has any value right now, and he can immediately gain that back with the right series of circumstances in that offense. But yeah, you try and add things to them and get higher draft picks. Again, aiming for the player at the top of your tiers. Yeah, sound right?
Yeah, it's running back is your only weakness.
Yeah, you've got no desperate need to move. You can trade Lawrence and Danny if you freaking need to, but in a 1 QB, I don't think many people will be interested in that. And you're trying to upgrade your draft capital and improve those running back 2 and 3. Joe, how many first, future, or present, just specify, is the 101 worth? 30. Be 4 by the end of the year, probably, but 3. Nothing's worth more than 3. As a general rule, I'm trying to get Dak, Watson, and Herbert. Okay, my problem is that people in my league seem to undervalue the 101. Just draft Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Unfortunately, you're probably going to like having him and get that value once they don't undervalue the player, if you know what I mean. FF Lefty, 12 team superflex, good at quarterback, but have the 102. Sorry, Zach, I know we're going too long. You can go if you need to.
No, it's all good.
Guy wants the 102 and the 111 for Lamb. 102 in a superflex. I don't know, high. Which seems fair, but he has no QBs. What he has on his roster doesn't change the value, although I know it's tempting to do that. 102 plus. See, the 111 isn't my hang-up. It's the 102 because that's a quarterback.
It doesn't change the value, but it does change him and needing.
Motivation.
So I don't mind taking advantage of somebody who is in a pinch.
That's put themselves in a pinch.
Yeah, so
do it another way.
Yeah, I'd be like, I mean, if I'm trading the 102, I'm not going to give up the 111 to get Lamb. I mean, I would, but
it is a little much, even without making that pinch adjustment. The 102 should be Lamb. The 102 should bring you anyone that's not Jefferson or Chase at wide receiver, to be honest. It's a quarterback. What are the top tier?
Right.
So, yeah, that's a little much. I would take the 111 off it and send it back and say, go draft Zach Wilson. I don't know. Go trade for Zach Wilson, I guess. I added the 110 and Lance for Watson and still got rejected to the 101.
Wow.
Yeah, you just sometimes you can't help people. If you know what I mean. Like, I think they'll change once they see him play. FF Lefty, to me, I'm a strong contender. I don't think I trade the 101 for much.
Yeah.
But I earned it. I'll take 3 first, preferably.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's a solid position to hold.
Yep.
I think it's worth 3 first. Yeah, I think 3 first is a good generic kind of. Yeah. That should be enough for Watson. Yeah, I think we're on the same page, Lefty. What a surprise! The goats know what's up. He has Josh Allen and Pickett. He needs to get rid of Pickett. And fast. He's just being greedy. Yeah, again, and so let him sit there with his greed and see how it works out for him. I mean, that's my. Sorry, I don't have anything better than that. Like, you can't make people do good trades. Andrew, well, maybe Dynasty House can. Right on, new pod. Appreciate it. Can't wait for the Hootenanny. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to listening to it. I mean, I can't wait for it. No pressure, just excited. Do we like Downs and Boot? Yes. They're the receivers I like outside the top 3. I like them both. Yeah. They're in a tier with Quentin Johnson, and much to apparently a disagreement with Zach, I kind of lean towards both of them over Johnson. I suffer from very low T.
No, it's fine. Johnston is not the type of player that I gravitate toward at all. I want the guys who drive high volume. Like, that's what I want. So,
Joe, we're on the same page on Downs. Unfortunately, I think everyone loves him. He's literally the wide receiver 3 or something in early DLF ranks for the Devy community. I think he's going to get tons of draft capital. I think Zach's right. I wish everyone hated Downs. He's not going to be drafted low enough to be sleep. Mims is an interesting one. He's one Zach's brought up a few different times. I have this tier of Hyatt, Rice, and Flowers. Mims is in tier 4. So I like him a little bit less than you two, but I get it.
Sorry.
Yeah. Dan's. Unfortunately, I don't think he's gonna be undervalued or valued low enough to be considered a sleeper. But you can call him what you want. We can call him a sleeper. We get to do what we want here. Downs is our sleeper. Okay. I've literally heard podcasts and like, you all slept on Jonathan Taylor as a running back 1. Okay. We'll climb any victory lap we can. It's our damn show. And I don't think Downs is sleepy boy. That's a better term, sleepy boy. Going regular in the second in mocks. I honestly, it's looking like he might be a top 9 pick in rookie drafts. Draft dependent, obviously. Marvin Mims has some of the best outside stats. Heavy outside player, yeah. Let's see. What did I say? In his best season, he actually has a 30% slot rate. In what I call his best season with an 8 over 17. He got 2.8 yards per route run. Sorry, I'm not used to that stat yet. But based on his 8 and that slot rate, it's just a peak under the average for hits at that slot at a 8. But yeah, high 8 and a decent slot rate is good. And the fact he performed close to that average is pretty good too. He just dominates out there, as Zach keeps telling me. Just joking. QB room would be Purdy, Lance in the 102, and Young and Wentz. You have Lance. That's what you have. And Young. Purdy's just your backup at this point, I think. Unfortunately, Wentz is... I know, you think Wentz will get more jobs and be that one of these vagrant league QB starters like a Foles?
So yeah, somebody will roster him, and if he's on a roster, he's got a chance at being a starter. Like, it's gross. He's not good.
How would I handle this QB situation? I mean, I don't think you're getting anything for Wentz, even if you package him and try and tier, to be honest with you. He's just not valued enough. And Purdy, now it's too late too. So you have the QB you're going to draft, you have Lance and Purdy, and you have some depth in the hope they get a job sometime, and so his value might rise. You might trade him to a team that needs a quarterback.
Don't take the QB3 at 105 though. Like, wait.
Yeah.
See what you got. Like, take the best player available at 105 and then 108, 109 if there's a quarterback still there. Then
is this not a super flex?
It's got to be.
And if it's a super flex, then he won't last to the 105.
Who?
The Young.
Well, he's saying the QB3. He's got 102, so he's saying.
Oh, I see what I mean.
Young at the 102.
You're thinking about taking
another quarterback at the 105.
Do that? No, no, man. I'd much rather package that pick with something and go and get one of these quarterbacks that we like and they're pretty good, like a Dak.
Yeah.
You're not going to get Lawrence at this point. Fields, maybe? No, it's probably Dak. But yeah, don't overdraft Levis or Richardson. I will barely say it's okay to draft them where their ADP is. Definitely don't overdraft them. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But you can come shout at me, and that's your bonus prize if we get it wrong. You can come shout at me anyway. To be fair, private conversation. Get Downs back with quarterback connection. JSN greater than Addison. Yeah, that's the way I have it ranked. But it's hair splitting for me in some ways.
Yeah, I got
not that close to me. It's interesting. I will say JSN's phenomenally higher than Addison, but it's because he's got 1 year, and Addison had to play 3 great years. And when you average 3 great years, that's just going to come. It's going to lead to a lower average. You can't be at max every year, you know. Whereas JSN just gets to take his best year and have that be his average. So that's probably just a bias in my process I have to be aware of. I would say JSN in his best season ran in the slot 20% more, which I like a lot more, and has slightly lower ADOT and overperformed the expectation in that range at a higher number. But no notes on Addison. I think he looks great. Same tier for me, but JSN as the one. Did you have more to add? Because I know you don't separate them out by much, but
they are so 79.5, 79.5. Like they're 1A, 1B. I got JSN like as my one because I like the way he wins a little more. Mm-hmm. But in terms of the way I grade out, there's not to separate them.
She also agrees with Mims versus Hyatt. Why'd you always gang up on me? You gits. One of the most nerdy FF analysts is a high TRB hoarder. Nonetheless, John McNamara.
Yep.
Right. Yep. I've spoken with him before. Andrew, man, I think people are sleeping on Addison versus JSN. I'm an Addison guy. I think you're good. Would you draft Addison over JSN just to be different? No, I wouldn't. But I would try to get both. I literally like both of them. I think they're going to translate really well to the NFL. I prefer JSN because he works in the slot or worked in the slot a little bit more at a lower ADOT. It's just a better hit group. Outperform that expectation a bit better. I know you can earn targets, but how does the slot receiver not thrive with Olave and Wilson on the wings? I'd have to check, but I'm pretty sure they work in the slot, man.
But he also got more targets than both of them. So,
yeah, I think I genuinely think JSN is a lot better. I thought you were talking about the NFL there for a second. I was like, wait. Yeah. I can actually look. I made this per year thing, so I could actually look at shit like that. I'm gonna look. It's late enough, I know, but we're here.
I mean, it's not like we're an hour behind.
All right. Where's JSN? Olave Wilson, that's year 1. No. Yeah, year 2, he basically came in and cooked both of them on the same team. Like, no, thank you. This is my job now. He ran in the slot 88% of the time. They ran in the slot 17 and 18%. So yeah, they were on the wings and he was in the slot. Here's the thing.
But he saw
That means they were feeding off of him, not the other way around.
25 more targets than
that's reversing where the engine is.
Either of them. Yeah.
It's like saying how can the engine run well with these great tires? Like the engine is the thing. But yeah, I mean they've been pretty good in the NFL, so it's like it's splitting hairs. Also, I say again, everyone should like the video. Thank you, Andrew. I always forget to say that to you guys do. Addison advanced stats look okay mostly. I'd say they look pretty great actually. But JSN was the only special one in the bowl game. Don't really pay attention to him with Olave and Wilson. I just think we're reading in. Yeah, we're reading into a lot. I think what we need to know is Olave and Wilson were great, and they both looked at JSN and went, "Wow, that guy's much better than us." I think that is something, but that probably doesn't directly factor into fantasy. Like he's that much better in fantasy. I think he's very good. I think I'm going to try and get out of this conversation before Zach rebels. I think it's fine to be on the fence. That's why I put him in the same tier. Like I don't want to fence sit on it. I'm just going to take JSN if he's available, and I'm very happy to take Addison if he's not. I don't think this is a JJ Arcega-Whiteside kind of issue, like nowhere close. I mean, the draft could be a difference maker for us, but like say landing spot doesn't matter to me a lot. So unless that's Peter, I don't think there's a vast difference outside of one being drafted in the 7th round and one being drafted in the 1st, like something drastic like that. It's JSN over Addison. And I'd get both if I possibly could. Tatooine.
I just wore that last week in one of the 2.5 days. One of the 2.5 days that I was at Disney, and actually,
I've literally never had anyone recognize a Scott Fishbowl when I accidentally wear them out the house. No one ever.
I had a guy. We were in line for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, and he looked at my shirt, and then he was like, Scott Fishbowl,
in the wild?
Yeah. I was like, that's right.
That's wild. I get the feeling Addison's stock's going to rise at the combine. And I'm just reading tea leaves here, but something that Travis said stuck in my head, which is where there was a conversation about whether he was going to be a DB, I think, or a wide receiver when he went to college. And I'm like, DBs are the bangers, right? Those are the big dudes that like put hurt on people. Like he must be. I mean, not that any of them are weak, but I assume he's pretty well built.
I mean, he's not.
I
think he's smaller than JSN for my money.
Well, how do you mean small? That's what I mean.
I don't think
I don't think it means he's better. I think he means he's going to test like he's going to be BMI and
he's kind of fast, man, and quick, and he just paces really well. He's like, it's so fun to watch Addison go out on a route because he's like running at 90%. And the defensive back, the corner is like, all right, I got him timed. And then he'll make his move, and he's like, now I'm at 100.
I love that kind of player. I will say, like, again, it's fun to hear that stuff because I don't know it, and it sounds awesome. What Travis was saying about JSM was, like, it's going to be fun to roster a Jedi. Because that's what a lot of his catches look like.
Oh, he's so good. He's so good.
Using the Force, I'm like... So I like both of these players quite a lot.
So his freshman year, JSN like did next to nothing. Like he had 10 catches. But there is one catch in his freshman year where he is working along the end line, the back boundary, and the ball is thrown up and away, and he has to go out of bounds to catch it. And then all of a sudden he gets his toe back in. And you watch it, and you're like, in real time, you're like, "There's no way he caught that." And then you go again in slow motion, and you're like, "There's no way he caught that." And then they go down the line in slow motion. And you're like, "Holy shit, he got his foot in! Like, how did he catch that?" And that's just like that just epitomizes him. He's so good.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the same one, but Travis said like one of his first catches in his first year was like, "Oh, a Jedi, awesome! I'm gonna draft him in a few years."
This is the receiver you're looking for.
Basically, supernatural powers. And got offered the 102 and Pittman for Kyler in a superflex. I'd probably rather keep Kyler at that point. I do have to give more respect to Pittman, but
it's close. It's close. Man, I might take it. I don't know. I might take that, but it's close.
Right.
I'd have to watch.
Depends how you feel about not starting Kyler till at least the playoffs.
Chris, I will know better in a few weeks after I watch quarterbacks, like really watch quarterbacks.
I should really start doing quarterback evaluation.
Not.
4 yards per route run on that slot. Yeah, sounds a little freak. I'm sorry. I keep feeling like we're interrupting someone else's conversation, so I'm going to move on. Does the show ever end?
Sometimes.
I tell you what, if it ends, I'll let you know, because we haven't felt that way. I'm ready for a nap, nearly 9 minutes doing a show. Yeah, you can see how the fights start in the after party. 12-man superflex. I have a dumpster fire of a team. It's good to know it, though, to be fair. At least they didn't know what you need to do. Watson, Baker, Ridley, though. Javonte breaks home.
Yeah, listing Baker is a name.
Yeah, that's bad sign.
Yeah.
You have to get quarterbacks. But to be fair, the 101, the 105, the 107, the 109, and Javonte and Hall, keep Ridley for now. You should go get quarterbacks, like package. Go get at least one of the elite quarterbacks, and that would be my first move. Try and keep the 101 if you can to do that.
Yeah, try to do like the 107 and 109 to move up to the 103 or 102.
Yep. So the 101, you can, but it's like what Joe was just saying. Sometimes you're not going to get the value, and in your situation, it's all about getting as much as you should. Not as much as you can necessarily, but much as you should for what you have. And that's a golden ticket right there. So you don't want to go out the gate with, hey, give me your children. I would start smaller, package up some of those later picks and maybe Watson, get a top 5 QB that's not Watson, and build up that way. And you can explore trade offers for the 101, but be more trigger happy with making that pick than the others, personally. 101, 110, Lance and Murray. If I don't trade that mix for Mahomes and Allen or Herbert, then I failed 2020. I actually agree with that. Join us. Your takes are just as bad here as they are on CBS chat. Hey. If anyone's got bad picks around here, it's me. All right. I can't help you out. I get the hate. Don't take that away from me. Drew, 12-team half-point PPR, starting 9, no tight end premium. Herbert, Watson, JT, Rashad. I like Rashad right now at value. CeeDee Lamb, London Burks. Okay, so you're good on wide receivers as well. Bateman, Deontay, awesome. You need to improve at tight end, and again, there's a lot of Watson rostering, and I get why he ended up on a lot of teams. Fortunately, those points didn't flow, so the flip isn't there yet. It doesn't say superflex. Am I missing it?
It's got to be.
Okay, it's got to be. But anyway, I have a lot of thoughts. Your wide receivers are strong. Your running backs are decent. Although again, everything we said about you can flip running backs, you do.
Well, he just improved his tight end though. 104, 112, and a 24 first for Pitts. And the 103.
You're right. Yeah. I actually really like that for your team. That's probably a bigger weakness than your quarterback. Yeah, it is. And yeah, if you can trade for Pitts right now, and this is solid value to do it, but actually he's one of the better targets. It's just such a, like you just did, you have to give decent value. It's not my first suggestion right now because not many teams can survive it. But yours is a good team, and you have the value, and you made the move. And outside of trading for Kelsey, a lot less. Best move you can make at tight end or Andrews. To be fair.
Yeah,
you guys are champs. Great show. Appreciate you, Andrew. Anderson advanced stats on mid though. I mean, I don't want to keep Zach here too long, but I don't get that. Like mid compared to who? Compared to JSN's best and only year over the volume thresholds? Sure. But that year he had similar yards per route run and receiving yards per team pass attempt, like within 0.03, if I remember right. Like how mid is that? Yeah, here you go. 2.94 yards per route run, which is a stat you prefer, I believe, is phenomenal. Granted, JSN's 4 yards per route run is just Jedi-like, but like saying 2.9 is mid for a wide receiver 1 at age 19, like I don't know about that. Especially at the competition level he was playing. At that slot rate and that ADOT, it's above average of players who go on to have top 24 seasons in the NFL. So that's not mid to me. That's above average. That's significantly above average. This might be a product of you looking at yards per route run, which is perfectly fine. It's a very valid stat. Don't get me wrong. I just like to throw shade at it. Me using receiving yards per team pass attempt. So when I look at it through that lens, like he's as significant a part of that offense as JSN was. That's kind of why I like it. Yeah, like JSN was 3.26 receiving yards per team pass attempt at age 19, and Jordan Addison was 2.94. So it's like a hundredth or a couple of hundredths off being literally within the same tier. And in his last, am I looking at the right one? Yeah, that's a phenomenal year. Quentin Johnson's best year is at 2.96 in the same age, by the way. So, yeah, he was a phenomenally huge part of that offense, despite playing predominantly at a 6% slot rate. Again, he's an engine of an offense and performing admirably at, wasn't it a lower ADOT? Oh, no, that's the concern I have. Yeah, he had a slightly higher ADOT, so you'd expect that. Yeah, again, JSN over Addison, but like I don't know. That's what I'm reacting to. Don't call Addison bad when he's doing better than like 90%, 95% of all prospects just because JSN had a Jedi tier season. Like, both stand out significantly. That stand out significantly in any draft class to me. And JSN slightly better. But sorry, getting lost in the nerd. Love the show. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks. Integrity, I don't know about that. I don't know I have virtues, but I try. Zach does. Zach's got a lot of virtues. So Donovan Frink, 105 and 205 for all day. 105 and 205 for CD Lamb.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a super flex, so that's a good pick there, the 105, but I would definitely do that. The 102 may be squeamish, but the 105, sure. 3 wide receiver, 2 flex. No, that's fair. How much would you pay to move from Hawkinson to Andrews? Feels like a Zach Reed question, but significant, right?
I mean, some.
Late first?
Non-tight end premium, whatever. Like,
okay.
Hawkinson's still going to see targets. He's not going to be quite Andrews if Andrews is not hurt, but he's still a top 5. Like, he's still a top 5 tight end. Yeah. It's not like
I agree. And both of them are going to play next 3. You don't have a lot of outside of injuries. So, I was receiving the CD, and owner said he's 95% on accepting it. On accepting this, I hope he does. I think that's a solid. Again, at the 105 and a super flex, he's getting a good player. But you're going for the boat, not the maybe a boat, and I like that in general. And if you don't, you're going to get a pretty good player at the 105. I think more.
Donovan, you just better hope that I need to sleep on it doesn't mean I need to wake up early and watch the grind to see if,
No, I think that normally means no, but I'm rooting for you. Jason Olave and Jets wide receivers, 2 top 10 wide receivers in the same draft. Yeah, something I didn't know is like that's known. Like that offense has produced a lot of good wide receivers over the years, apparently. Travis called it wide receiver U. something like that. Does that sound familiar?
I mean, Paris Campbell was from there, so yeah.
Again, Andrew, players help each other out. I'm completely on board with that. But it's JSN fueling the offense that they are taking. If I was going to say one was helping the other, I'd say JSN was helping them. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
It's the same argument that people were trying to knock Justin Jefferson down with. It's the same argument that people were trying to knock A.J. Brown down with. It's the same argument that people were trying to knock Jarvis Landry down with.
And Odell Beckham, yeah.
Like
that's when I first learned that. It's like they probably would have higher stats without each other, in fact, rather than lower. But both perform admirably together. Like, that's not a bad thing. Context is good, Andrew. I like that you're learning about the whole
it's hard.
Considering
it's hard for me to knock a player who plays well and say, but what if he didn't?
Right. Yeah. What if he played in a worse situation? That might go to our situation thing. Like AJ Brown balls, Corey Davis does okay. You know the thing. And that's probably more
Puff pass
something
kick
to do with
has a point, because look over there.
I'm not that quick.